Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome. We are going to be finishing a runner we have today. And, you know, hopefully it's good. Obviously. Hopefully we win. Ideally. Not realistically, but ideally. Now, our rack record isn't great. But yeah, we got this Earth ring here. Let me pull up the YouTube. I don't even have it pulled up yet, but I'm getting there. This is a pretty last minute stream. Okay, we want to play this video.
In Mario Kart 64, being the world champion is the highest accomplishment you
Why
can
is it
attain.
like?
It's a community of thousands of players. With 16 courses, you can get a non-shortcut world record in. There's records for both the fastest single lap and the fastest 3 laps.
A video over here. Let me put chat over here.
Years, various champions would come along, sometimes holding a fairly large portion of the third.
Make sure the video's not too loud. That seems good. But yeah, we got a Earth ring runner here.
Around half of the 32 records. In the early 2000s, MJ reached new heights for a champion, at times amassing over 20 of the 32 records at once. And that was incredible. Given how many top-level players there were actively playing the game, holding close to 2/3 of the records was astonishing.
Or if I'll pick a little bit better. I've never known why I had it so small, but...
An up-and-coming German player posted his first world record. His name was Matthias Rustemeyer.
Matthias the GOAT. Matthias the GOAT.
Holding 12 out of 32 possible records. But as the months passed, it quickly became clear.
Alright, I'm gonna stop stalling. I wasn't really stalling, I was just getting ready, I guess, but here we go. We got Erica. Erica's usually pretty easy. It's the gym after that we have to do that. It makes me a little nervous.
He was at 24. By November, he hit 26. And at that point, he spelled it out.
Not 800 speed. This should be a really easy gym.
32 possible world records.
But yeah, we're gonna finish this run today. Hopefully we can beat it.
Nobody
I think we can.
Before, and it would be an
but we'll see, I guess.
The rest of the community if he actually pulled.
Okay, I know you're actually thick, so I'm not gonna mess with you.
Players formed an alliance. It was made up of the last few players clinging on to non-shortcut records and some other top-level contenders. Their goal was simple: stop Matthias from achieving.
I haven't had any problems with Dragonite, so I don't think he has high defense.
The problem was, the man they were trying to stop was perhaps the greatest Mario Kart 64 player of all time. And what happened over the following years, nobody could have predicted. This was their quest to stop Matthias.
Milo thick. No exceptions in this. I meant to go for Shadow Ball, but whatever. Yeah, this Metagross be thick, boy. Look, level 33, bro, and I didn't even one shot.
Now, there's a couple things that need to be cleared up.
No, there's not.
First, Mario Kart 64 is known for having large skips.
Alright, here it comes.
The developers that allow the player to skip massive portions of the track. Shortcuts like the weather tanko on the mountain, the big jump at the start of the road, or the wall jumps on Wario Stadium. However, the Mario Kart 64 community has separate leaderboards for shortcut time trials and non-shortcut time trials.
Oh, you actually are thick. Yeah, I was like, this is the only one I might not be able to one shot.
But we're going to be focusing on the 32 non-shortcut records. It's also worth mentioning how time
got Erica, gave me TF19, which is Hypnosis. I'm not gonna use that. I'm not even gonna see if I can learn it. I'm not gonna use it.
While NTSC versions come out in North.
All right, I believe we're doing Koga next.
Mario Kart 64 runs at 29 frames per second.
Let me go get the
runs at 30 frames per second.
for strength real quick.
That means that the PAL version runs in slow motion, running at 5/6 the speed of NTSC. An identical race would be 17% slower on PAL than NTSC. The Mario Kart 64
I can't use.
created the
All right, yeah, we got Koga now, I believe. Let me pull up the guide real quick just to make sure.
So they could be compared to each other. Matthias and most other top level
FIRERED guide. Here we go.
Since playing in slow motion makes driving a bit easier. So all times you'll see
okay.
video will be listed as their
Yeah, okay, we could also do the dojo first, which I actually think I want to do that first, actually. Because that's just how hard Koga is.
Let's go back to December.
We'll do Koga first.
13. That was the day.
While I'm here, I might as well get some max repels and sell my useless items. So.
Hosted by Zoran, one of the best Mario Kart 64 players around. A1A stood for the Anti-1.0 Alliance, with 1.0 referring to Matthias's average ranking if he got 32 out of 32 records. On December 5th, Matthias had just taken the Calamari Desert lap record from MJ, meaning he now had 28 out of 32 possible records. The only 4 he was missing were Moo Farm Lap, Moo Farm 3 Lap, DK Jungle Parkway 3 Lap, and Toad's Turnpike Lap. Being only 4 records away from 32 out of 32 was enough to mobilize the A1A into action. One member in particular saw a weakness in one of Matthias's times, so he got to work grinding to beat
I do have to keep in mind, I still have PPMax, which I could use on Sludge Bomb Reversal, but I want to see what my moves are before I commit to using PPMax on Sludge Bomb. Okay, we're gonna toss our Moonstones.
Yeah, man. You can't touch this. You can't touch this.
One of the reasons VAJ is legendary is because of his epic celebrations. But the other reason
All right, let's click on the dojo. I'm not too worried, honestly.
Good at Mario Kart 64. He's held dozens of world records dating back to 2006 and still plays to this day. On December 5th, 2013,
I've never had a problem with Linoon, but now all of a sudden I do.
Beach lap. So he did attempts to break the tie and set Matthias back to 27 records. And on
Raccoon is very thick. I'm very nervous.
He beat the tie.
Oh wow, he did like nothing. Okay.
Putting
I have pretty good special defense, so.
7 out of 32. However, later the same day, Matthias tied VAJ again.
Let's say I think I could. I can.
And then he got the Toad's turn.
I don't really have that many berries.
And then the
So we're just gonna keep going.
Record. Matthias had 30 out of 32 possible records.
Nice, crit mattered.
The A1A was floundering.
Rana has like no defense.
Other than the one
For some
record
reason.
VAJ, they hadn't done anything to stop Matthias.
You just don't have any defense at all, and you suck.
The last 2 he was missing were 2 of the hardest to achieve in the whole game.
Okay, no
Let's
defense.
break them down.
And
We'll start with Moo Farm.
but I'll say it has even defense because it's not low, but it's not high either.
Set in March 2013.
They have no and time return. That's interesting. I just wanted to see what the mons were. All right, now we can go take on Koga. I mean, we could have taken on Koga anyway, but whatever.
With no major gameplay differences between the 3 of them. So, every record you'll see in this video will be played as one of those characters. TJL also.
Okay, the biggest thing I'm worried about personally is hitting myself. So we're gonna equip the person berry. All right, here we go. We got.
Can be released for a burst of speed when the smoke is orange.
I just burped. We got Koga.
Specific places all around the track, you can move through it much quicker than normal. The mini
I'm not nervous. You're nervous.
Selection hold true for all 16 courses.
I'm not too nervous.
But Moo Farm has something in particular that makes it unique. It has.
Oh, I'm so glad that missed. I am so glad that missed.
Holes that randomly pop out of their holes. The optimal path around the course involves going over the holes, and if one pops up while your cart is over it, it'll hit you and force you to reset. The record holder here was TJL. He's what you might call a course specialist. He set a total of 19 Mario Kart 64 records over about 5 years. 14 of those 19 records were improvements to Moo Farm. He was able to master this course in ways.
I really wish we had a setup move.
Subconsciously understanding
be honest.
technicalities about ways to drift and angles to take. After years of on and off attempts, he got a 27.82, a time he described as a once-in-a-lifetime record. When Matthias did attempts to replicate this time, he found himself unable to emulate many of TJL's subtle strategies. He had trouble approaching the slope where he used the first mushroom and usually lost time there. The other record Matthias
Yeah, that was actually like one of the best case scenarios.
Jungle Parkway 3 lap was held by William Lacey. Lacey was even more dominant at this track than TJL was at Moo Farm. He had held the record.
Let's just Digi Punch and play it safe. Oh my gosh, and it still didn't one shot. See, I'm so glad I equipped the person berry. I'm so glad I equipped the person berry. Knowing my luck, I would hit myself there and run over.
DK Jungle Parkway is a bizarre to go for records on. You have to drive through the jungle.
Yikes, man. I'm surprised how little berries you have, to be honest.
Near the start is a big ramp you have.
I guess I'll equip the Pecha.
The farther to the left you go, the faster. However, go too far left and you'll fall in the water.
Don't be thick, thank you.
There's also a cave at the end, where the fastest way to get to the top involves mashing R to hop up a steep slope. Doing this fast is incredibly precise, but after years of playing, Lacey was an expert at it. Since the record holders for Moo Farm Lap and DK Jungle Parkway 3 Lap were so dominant on their respective courses,
okay, never mind. Yeah, no, I got the Koga relatively unscathed. Just lost a person berry and what, 12 health. Not bad, actually.
Throughout late 2013 and early 2014.
Okay. Oh, that's not the challenge. No, this is the challenge.
Chip away and take a few records from Matthias.
Keck Leonis first. Guess we'll just punch. I really don't know what inning it is. I'm a champ. Has Parasong, and I haven't been able to one-shot it in the past, so I won't here. We got it confused, though. Hit himself clutch. We're gonna Digi Punch here because I had a feeling he was gonna Hyper Potion here. Okay, and the Shadow Ball should kill. Okay, I should have went for Sludge Bomb just to make sure, but Steel types are like my biggest weakness, man. Thankfully, he's not very thick.
In May 2014, a new player came along to join the alliance.
Oh crap! We need to heal that. Like, there's no question about it. We need to heal it. Can I even heal it? Oh no!
Of course, Matthias quickly.
I have a 4-store, but I don't think I have a full heal or anything. This is bad. Yeah, we're just gonna have to try to get through it with the burn.
Dan simply drove better than Matthias. This pattern continued over the following months.
Okay, we got it confused.
It became clear. Dan actually had the skill to keep up with Matthias on certain courses.
Dang it.
So, as 2014 went on, even though Matthias was
that might kill me
to defend his records, Dan was able to help push Matthias's total into the mid-20s.
Okay.
With so many
we have to hope the one shot. No! No! That was so cool.
The course he really needed help on was
I was so close. Dude, 100 base power, super effective.
And in July 2015,
and I didn't one shot. It's a cast form, bro.
The old lap using too much
that hurts.
Shortly after the ramp to cut over a section of the grass.
That hurts. All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna I had a feeling we were gonna lose. We're gonna do I want to change it up a little bit, and we're gonna do we're gonna do Crazy KAIZO Platinum. I'm not sure if I've ever done this before, but I'm very curious to see if
Matthias had a realistic shot at getting it. And by October 2015, he had done it. Matthias had beaten Lacey on both the 3
so just give me a few
lap records.
So I can like get the random ROMs going.
World records were out of the way. Now, all he had to do was keep grinding to pick up the rest.
Let me find my Pokedex folder here real quick.
2015, Matthias posted his 5th record from the past month. A 27.68 lap on Mario.
With the randomizer.
That meant for the first time in
okay, I'm gonna need to pull up the setting strings here real quick.
Out of 32 possible records. The only record he was missing was Moo Farm Lap. The
There's a Pokemon Platinum
22 by
patch.
PJL. It was the only
Oh, here you go.
record in the game he had never held before, and we've already gone over
Okay,
how much
we
he
need the
struggled
platinum
with
setting
the past.
strings.
But now that he didn't have any other records to worry about, Matthias could focus all his efforts there. The A1A
Alright,
was on its
we want to
last
do
legs.
random completely
It was a
types,
good fight for the
and then we
past
want to
6
do
months, but eventually
random move
Matthias
power,
leveled
accuracy,
and
move power
even
points, and
outranked
move types.
all of them. Matthias is
Alright.
a really nice guy, and nobody in the alliance.
Oh yeah, we'll make 140 ROMs. We probably don't need that many. I'll make 130, I guess.
To see someone hold all 32 records at once.
Alright,
It would be an embarrassment to all the other record contenders.
I'm gonna pull up the
Matthias said
platinum guide.
that he was gonna be unable to
Just
play
curious to have your
the
questions. It's
records
been a little bit since I've done
because
platinum,
the
so I might
alliance
have
had
questions,
fixed
but we'll
it
see.
until then to try to take a record from him. So, over the weekend, the alliance got to work.
I'll just have it like open in the background just in case I need it.
We're trying to take at least one of Matthias's records. But as the days passed, nobody was beating any. Even with the alliance members spending hours each day grinding courses, nobody could take any of
Fine,
Matthias's
I brought a water bottle just in
31
case I got
records.
thirsty.
That's how good he was. That's how far ahead his record.
I'm gonna turn off this because
And sure enough, on the morning of November 23rd, 2015, the day Matthias
It's not gonna really matter to us right now.
matched TJL's Moo Farm lap time, a new record was posted. This is Abney317.
it's doing that thing again where it's like, oh, there's something went wrong. Like, no, there frickin' didn't.
Instead, he's
It only made
dozens of shortcut records,
like 20
and a
ROMs.
50cc large skip speed run record for years. But he's had the skill to take some non-shortcut records too. And on November 22nd, 2015,
I don't know why it does that.
he came to the community's rescue. A 212.61 on Bowser's Castle, a new record by 7/100ths of a second. Abney went after this record in particular because it was one of Matthias's oldest records, being
Don't do it again.
years old.
I'm gonna be mad.
Play had gotten slightly better since then, so Abney perceived it as weaker than most of Matthias's other records.
It's only with platinum that it does. It doesn't do it with FIRERED Leaf Green.
He was able to use different paths around the thwomps to go faster. But unfortunately for him, that also meant that the very next day, Matthias was able to beat Abney's record to get back to 31 out of 32. All he needed was to shave 9/100ths of a second off his Moo Farm lap to get 32 out of 32. He was so close, and he kept pushing. But then, it was Abney to the rescue again, this time on Calamari Desert 3-lap. This record wasn't nearly as old as Bowser's Castle. It was set only a week prior, but it was unoptimized. Just a month ago, a new strategy called hill hopping was first used by a player known as Dotman. By hopping off the hills on the sand at specific points, you get more airtime and don't slow down nearly as much as normal. Abney used this to his advantage, and for the second time in just 2 days, he was able to stop Matthias dead in his tracks at 31 out of 32. But that wasn't enough to feel safe. Matthias could casually pick up new records seemingly whenever he wanted, and Abney didn't have as much experience with non-shortcut records. So, just to be safe, Abney figured he should probably go on the attack. Abney was actually standing up to Matthias. He wasn't just looking to defend his own records. He was actively looking to take records he didn't have. And it was working. During one crazy stretch in January 2016, he set 4 new records in 5 days. It put Matthias down to 27 out of 32, his lowest total in months. Abney had once again proven that Matthias was beatable. But as always, Matthias came back to racing later that month, 4 records down from where he was just weeks prior. But rather than be intimidated by what Abney had just done, he saw 4 records that were well within his abilities to beat. 2 of them were on long courses with room for optimization, Wario Stadium and Rainbow Road. Because of Matthias's ability to take just slightly better lines and optimize his driving, he knew that there was room for improvement over Abney's record. And he was right, picking them both up in a matter of weeks. The other two, Calamari Desert and Bowser's Castle, each had new strategies that Matthias hadn't implemented yet. The hill hopping on Calamari Desert, and different thwomp paths on Bowser's Castle. Once he did, 2 more quick world records, putting his record total right back to 31 out of 32, his 3rd time achieving that total. It was miraculous how he could do this.
Dude, it sucks. He gets so freaking close, man.
He would just immediately grind to beat them back. People could temporarily beat him, but he would always prevail in the end. The one exception, of course, was MYAAA Farm. For the 3rd time, he just needed that one record to get 32 out of 32. And for the 3rd time,
if he just focused like
took the chance away from him.
100% of his time on that track, I think he could have gotten the 32 out of 32.
It was Calamari Desert this time, beating Matthias by 0.06 of a second. Matthias only had the chance to grind MYAAA Farm for about 12 hours, because that's how long it took Abney to get the record. That made it 3 times that Matthias had made it to 31 out of 32, with just MYAAA Farm standing in the way, only to be stopped by Abney at the last second.
Excuse me.
Just remarkable. Matthias typically plays less Mario Kart in the summer, so in the middle of 2016 he took a step back from the game. Who could blame him after coming so close that many times? So, for several months, he didn't make any progress in his quest for 32 out of 32. The summer came and went. By October, he came back. And when he did, this is what he saw. Dan had just made a major statement. Matthias was down to just 24 out of 32 records, his lowest total in 3 years. This is what the community was capable of doing in just a few short months if Matthias wasn't there to aggressively defend his records. In the past, Dan had focused his world record efforts on Frapp Snowland and Mario Raceway. But since he had the time, in mid-2016 he got a lot better at other courses too, and picked up records on courses like Wario Stadium and Yoshi Valley. Again, it was nothing revolutionary, just learning the right lines to take, how to take each turn, and other small driving mechanics. But regardless, the end result was there. Matthias was far away from perfection, and it seemed like maybe, just maybe, the community could take it easy and not have to worry about 32 out of 32. But then, in October, Matthias did this.
Yes! 2:12:67.
It's almost done.
Clutched it with a cave. What a cave path. Yes! 23. Can you believe it?
Over the course of just 4 weeks in October 2016, Matthias set 7 new world records. All of the months of work throughout 2016 done by Dan, Abney, and others were undone in a matter of weeks. World records on Wario Stadium, Mario Raceway, DK Jungle Parkway, Calamari Desert, Yoshi Valley, all by simply outdriving the other record holders. And that meant that for the 4th time, Matthias
finally it's done. Oh my gosh.
31
Forever.
out of 32 records. Once again, the one that was missing was MYAAA Farm Lap. Let's take a closer look at that record. It was 27.82 by TJL, whereas Matthias's best time was 27.91. TJL's record was one of the oldest records still standing at this point, being set all the way back in March 2013, shortly after Matthias first became the non-shortcut champion. MYAAA Farm is a very unique course, with slopes you have to go up and a fence you have to drive as closely to as possible. There's 3 very particular spots you have to use your mushrooms, hugging the inside fence and driving over the moles while you do. TJL had been able to completely master it back in 2013, but since Matthias had 31 other records to worry about, he just couldn't quite figure out how to do this course optimally. Well, until now.
87. I felt the PR, I felt it.
It was a personal best by 0.04 of a second, meaning Matthias was now a 20th of a second away from 32 out of 32. His other 31 out of 32s only lasted for a day or 2 at most. But this one was different. 5 days later, by Halloween night, he was still alive at 31 out of 32.
Trying to see if
Abney wasn't there. Dan wasn't there.
oh, here we go.
The Alliance had gone radio silent. The only thing there was Matthias grinding MYAAA Farm, closer to the record.
Alright, I just wanted to make sure that whenever I loaded a ROM, it would,
Then, Lacey
like,
came to the rescue.
there wouldn't be a problem. Anyway. Welcome back, Platinum KAIZO. Gotta get used to clicking the clicking on the bottom. I'm not used to.
This course,
Oh,
especially on
so
the 3-lap
YouTube.
side, really was Lacey's specialty. It was his 23rd world record there, and this one couldn't have come at a bigger time. The thing is, Matthias definitely was the better driver.
Here we go. Okay.
Lacey just knew this course inside and out, and he was still a really good driver. He knew exactly where to go on the ramp, exactly how to take the slopes through the jungle, exactly how to mash on the cave at the end.
All right, starting off with the right gang.
Course took up a ton of
Later on.
Mario Kart 64 playing time, whereas it was only a small
What the heck?
fraction for Matthias. As expected,
Uh,
the community was elated.
This is not
4 times now. Matthias
this is not Crazy KAIZO. Hold on.
31 out of 32.
I think
4 times
it's fine because I know that
And you might be noticing a pattern at this point. Matthias would get really close.
I know
to
for
the
sure I
lead,
absolutely did Crazy KAIZO randomization
someone
for
would stop in the nick of time. Matthias would stop playing
after
for a
ROM
while,
711.
and then the community would grind together and take his
So let
time
me just
out.
pull that up and then that should be good.
Well, that would happen
Sorry about that,
again
guys.
now in 2017. But this time, the community took it a step further. By November 2017, Matthias was at 21 out of 32 records.
And now we should be good.
His lowest total in 4 years. There were 2 reasons his total got this low. The first was the usual period of inactivity from Matthias. He didn't completely stop playing, but he wasn't aggressively defending his non-shortcut records. And second, Dan took his gameplay to the next level. At one point in July 2017, he had 11 world records.
Okay, what the heck? I know that I randomized.
Than Matthias had that many records in years.
I know that I randomized the typings and stuff. I know that I did that.
His quest for 32 out of 32 started.
Like I checked the
He
boxes.
get most of those records back, but what would it matter?
Is it because I?
We've seen it time and time again. Matthias
try again, let me
managed
just
to hold
see.
up to 31 out of 32 with some effort, only to be stopped
It was a
by
mistake or
one
something.
course
Because I know I randomized the stuff. I know I did. I literally remember checking the boxes.
The 27.82 by TJL was his nemesis, and it was just too good for him to beat. But then,
You know, this is definitely not random. I don't know what's going on.
he did it. On November 27th,
All I can do is just delete all the ROMs and try again.
tied TJL's legendary 27.82.
Oh my gosh.
The key to getting it was playing the course a ton. It came at the end of
Oh,
a
yeah.
several-week-long grind, where he had dozens of laps in the 2780s. During that time, he mastered everything there was to know about MYAAA Farm, and ultimately it all came together on one magical run. His shrooms were clean, His mini turbos were perfectly timed on the slopes. His driving was tight. In March 2013, TJL set.
Yeah, I'm just gonna try again because I know for a fact that I randomized it.
4.5 years.
Let me just try again, and if it doesn't work, then
And it changed everything. This was the one world record Matthias had been unable to hold. The one record preventing him from getting 32 out of 32 for the past 2 years. Now, he had it out of the way. He stood at 22 out of 32 records. He had gotten each of
What is that
10
string?
records before.
code.
and he knew he
Okay,
could get
all
them.
of these are
It was time.
changed. All I'm doing, I'm clicking random typings, move it, randomize all of this, go to batch, make sure it saves everything, randomize.
Oh yes, that should be enough.
And then it's doing the same crap again, where it's like, oh no, I'm actually not gonna do that for some reason. I don't know why why it does that. It's so annoying.
Let's go. 60.
Sure enough, 3 months later, despite some resistance from Dan, Matthias was back to 31 out of 32. The last record he needed was DK Jungle Parkway 3-lap. A course he had struggled with at times, but still a record he had held on 4 separate occasions in the past. His best time was 2:12.58. The record was 2:12.35 by Lacey. He was behind, but this record was certainly within reach. Time to finish the job. And then, on March 13th, 2018, Matthias made history. He was beaten by Abney on Calamari Desert at the last minute. For the 3rd time. This was starting to get absurd. It was the 4th time Abney had prevented 32 out of 32. The 3rd time on Calamari Desert. And of course, Matthias congratulated Abney on the Mario Kart 64 forums.
Alright, it's having the same problems again. Let me see if how many it made.
Right back to 31 out of
It
32,
made
without a chance for the Alliance to gain any ground.
Alright, it didn't really make that many,
So,
but
Matthias
let me just
back
even
to
see if this
Jungle
works.
Parkway.
Because it's possible it just won't work.
And once again,
It's possible the randomization's still stupid.
getting a personal best that pushed him to just 0.15 behind Lacey's record. This strategy from the Alliance clearly wasn't working. Even if someone beat one of Matthias's 31 records, he could usually get it back within a day or so. That wasn't a good long-term solution. Dan recognized this problem, so he started doing a strategy that few others dared to. He grinded DK Jungle Parkway 3-lap.
Wait, I haven't. Wait, what if it is randomized and the tracker's just stupid?
This method certainly had its positives and negatives.
Let's see here.
On the upside, if he beat Matthias to the punch, it could make it harder to finish the job and get 32 out of 32. But Dan had only held this record once before, and Matthias certainly had the upper edge. If he failed to beat him, that would be a lot of time wasted he could have spent on any of the other courses. This certainly was a gamble, but it paid off, because on March 16th, 2018, Dan
Yeah, see, look, it's not random here, but what if it's random in the battle?
Mario Kart 64 history.
Yeah, see, it is.
Beat the record by almost 0.2 of a second.
So it's the
Matthias back
it's the tracker. It's not the
world record. But its true dividends would be paid.
It's not the randomization. It's not the ROM's fault.
This time, it missed being the world record by 24 hours. Had he gotten it the prior day, it would have been 32 out of 32. But thanks to Dan's brand new record,
I don't know if I want to do it then,
by a matter of
cause
Still, they were
Not being able to
clearly
see
playing
the stuff is gonna make it exponentially
Matthias
harder.
was less than a tenth of a second from 32 out of 32.
And Platinum Kaizo is already hard
He was
enough.
capable of taking time off his DK Jungle Parkway time fairly easily. This wasn't Moo Farm. Any day, he could take this record. And he was constantly trying. The community watched in anticipation, waiting to see when they would have to crown Matthias as the ultimate champion. But on March 23rd, they breathed a collective sigh of
Yeah, I don't know what type this is. Yeah, no, we're not gonna do that because it's the tracker doesn't show it, and that kind of defeats the whole purpose.
Oh man.
How was
So we're just gonna do FIRERED Crazy Kaizo, I guess.
Well,
That's a shame.
Still hadn't completely been optimized from the hill hops. But on Matthias's last Calamari Desert record, he had been able to go under the first train gap on lap 3, whereas all previous records were too slow and had to make the second one. So, Abney's goal was to hill hop effectively enough and drive fast enough to match Matthias and make the first train gap. He was able to do it, and thanks to just slightly better driving overall, he shaved enough time off to beat Matthias, and once again send him back to 30 out of 32. But, with how close Matthias was, Abney thought it might be best to keep going. So, he set his sights on a new target. Both the 3-lap and lap records on Rainbow Road.
Since Violet Leaf Green, it'll take a lot quicker to load.
Because A, they were each over 2 years old, meaning the community's overall quality of driving had improved since then, and B, they were on the longest course in the game, meaning there was likely room to optimize them. And within a matter of days, he nonchalantly picked both of them up.
Crazy, that track's almost 6 minutes long. That's longer than
Let's go.
it's longer than freaking
Straight.
the Rainbow Road in Mario Kart World.
So that
I think this Rainbow Road in Mario Kart 64 is probably the longest track in Mario Kart history.
In one quick swoop from Abney, momentum was back in the Alliance's favor.
Let me make sure it made all the ROMs this
Things were
time.
looking up for them.
Did, okay.
So, Matthias got back to work, and this is what he did over the next week.
Come on. Yes. Ooh. That's it. 71 on the last lap. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we're just gonna be able to do FIRERED Crazy Kaizo, not
He was
Crazy Kaizo. That's a shame.
This was
Or
now
Platinum on
the
Crazy
second
Kaizo
time
anyway.
Matthias had 31 out
I mean,
of
it's whatever,
32
but
records. He had more
not preferable, I guess.
determination than ever now to finish the job. The record was 212.14 by Dan, and he was right behind him with a 212.24. He quickly found results with a small personal best. But on May 1st, disaster struck for Matthias. Zoran, the founder of the A1A, beat the DK Jungle Parkway lap record. That meant that now, Matthias was missing both records on this course. And what occurred throughout May 2018 can only be described as a mad scramble on DK Jungle Parkway. Dan was grinding the 3-lap record, Zoran was grinding the lap record, and Matthias was grinding both. But ultimately, even though Matthias was lowering his best times, having to deal with both Dan and Zoran was just too much for him. Despite coming insanely close, he couldn't get either record. And eventually, he stopped trying. And his record total began to fall into the 20s. Months passed, and as more of Matthias's records
Road Rash could be good.
reality began to set in. His window for perfection was probably gone. He had had 7 opportunities to get 32 out of 32. All of them were foiled at the last minute. Moo Farm was his nemesis for a long time, with TJL's ridiculous lap being too hard to beat. After finally conquering that record, DK Jungle Parkway stood in his way.
Compound eyes.
His expertise just barely kept him ahead.
Wow, this thing is
It was just too much.
close, so close to being good. So close to being good.
The greatest person to ever play Mario Kart 64. But even for him, holding every record at once was just too big a task.
I can't believe it. Is this real? Guys, is this real or am I dreaming? 211.72 out of nowhere.
At least, that's what everyone thought. But on November 20th, 2018, Matthias pulled off a miracle on DK Jungle Parkway 3-lap. He took almost...
You know, if I want to see this might be worth going for is this slow, bro.
To crush the world record. Matthias himself didn't see this coming. Nobody did. But it meant he might be able to make one last push at this. Now, he just had to pick up the rest of the records he was missing. That took him all of about 2 days. One record left.
Oh.
DK Jungle Parkway lap. The record was 42.07 by Zoran. Prior to Zoran taking it in May 2018, Matthias had held the record for the past 2.5 years, so he certainly knew what he was doing. But to beat the time that Zoran had put up was going to be asking for a lot. There were two big tricks he had to focus on. First, the ramp jump. There's a very specific place you want to land, just to the left of this tree. Lining yourself up when you go off the ramp is super tough, but Zoran's record did so perfectly. And second, the cave jumps at the end. We saw before how important these were, but lap runs add a mushroom in here to take them even faster. There's a very specific way you need to hop up to the top. As far to the left as you can be, but too far left is too steep and you'll tumble. All of that was a tall order, but luckily Matthias was the best the world had. This one was within reach. His thousands of time trial attempts, his 7 other times at 31 out of 32, they all came down to this. It was time to finish off his dream. 32 out of 32 world records.
I'm gonna give up here pretty soon because I haven't found a single level 8 and I've encountered almost 30. I have a Thunderstone, but I don't have a Firestone.
Oh, shocking. Shocking. Oh no, so close. Oh, that's so tough to swallow. How
I'm just
close
gonna give
can
up.
you
It's
get?
taking way too freaking long to find it. I don't even know if it's possible, honestly. How long it's taken. Dear Lord, dear Lord. I have missed out on a Tailglowmon, but it's a freaking Ralts, dude. Oh, Kingdra's a favorite. 6 speed. You can't make this crap up, man. A Kingdra 6 speed. That shouldn't even be legal.
No! Ouch. Oh god. What did I do?
Oh my god, dude.
A dream-crushing record from Abney. How close had Matthias come? Well, he tumbled in the cave because he was just barely too far left.
Pure bug type Scizor.
The width of a cart too far left. Had he not tumbled, it almost certainly would have been either tied with or ahead of Zoran's record, meaning 32 out of 32. 5 years of trying and thousands of hours playing Mario Kart 64 came down to one tiny failed motion. He just held the control stick slightly too far left. That was the difference between 32 out of 32 and another failed attempt. Following this, Matthias's record total would never recover. Instead, it was Dan's and Abney's turn to celebrate, pushing certain time trials to levels they had never seen before.
Yes! Yes! There we go, boys. Yes! 54! Yes!
Physical attacking muck. Not bad. Definitely could use better moves. You know, ones that are actually usable, but
And that's
it's
where
just
he
real. That is a really good back stat.
at least for now. Matthias may have never accomplished his goal, but what he did do is honestly just as impressive. 249 total non-shortcut.
Please hit yourself.
8 separate times at 31
You.
out of 32. He just never got the last one to finish the job. But the thing is, he might not be done yet. Matthias still plays Mario Kart 64 actively to this day. His potential remains right there. He might
Yes!
not be
Oh my gosh, that's so clutch. That we actually gotta move.
But wherever he goes in the future, we know he'll have tough competition along the way. Thanks for watching.
I'm so glad that we got like an actual move there, or else I would have been run over. Probably.
Super Mario Bros. 2 has been a speedrunning classic for years. It was one of the most popular games back in its era. But in order to beat the game as quickly as possible, you need to master precise platforming, a variety of mechanics, and some of the craziest tricks on the NES. The history of Mario 2's world record spans back over a decade and a half. During that time, some of the greatest players to ever pick up an NES controller had their turn with the record. For at least a period of time, they could say they were the best in the world at a Nintendo classic.
Yo, what's going
This is
on?
the world record history.
Nemcio66. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce your name, but welcome in, dude. Yeah, I had a runner. I started a stream with a runner, but I lost to Koga, the very last Pokemon. And so now I'm doing this thing called Crazy KAIZO, where it's basically KAIZO IronMon, but the types of the Pokemon are different. The types of the moves are different. the PowerPoints, power and accuracy of the moves are different slash like random, I guess. I don't count this towards my attempt counter. I just kind of do it for funsies. But yeah, I'm glad you could make it to the stream. Appreciate it.
But with no video proof, it's hard to determine that for certain.
Wizard powder should be fine.
As far as recorded runs go,
I don't know why our level's so low. Just a bunch of low level ones, I guess.
2005, a trio of runs by some of the best speedrunners of the era. The fastest one was from August 2005, clocking in at 9 minutes and 42 seconds.
Or 2K temp seems brutal to. Yeah, it can be at times, but you know, I mean, it is what it is.
As far as speedrunners from the mid 2000s go,
it's actually at 2,384. Oh, actually no. I forgot it's actually at 2,385 because I forgot to count that run that lost this morning.
And various other games. His Super Mario Bros. 2 record was just one of many, but it was a really good one. Here's how it went.
I don't think I have any berries to equip.
No,
or any heals, so this is gonna go awful, isn't it?
Peach and Mario are never used, since they're slow and can't jump very high. Scott Kessler chose Luigi for 1-1 since he jumps the highest, which allowed him to reach platforms high in the level and make it into the underground quickly. Once he used the bomb to get through the door, he arrived at the Birdo fight that appears at the end of most levels.
Got metronome.
Birdo with 3 eggs. And an egg is fired every 256 frames from when the stage begins. That means that you can arrive at Birdo any
no way I still win.
256 frame window.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I'd be shocked if I still won.
And not lose any time. There's an analogy for this involving a particular 4-wheeled vehicle of transportation. If this vehicle leaves from a station every 200
almost, yeah, we got really close, but I mean that's really just how KAIZO is, honestly. Getting close and then not.
As long as you're within that window, you'll catch the same 4-wheeled vehicle of transportation. Kessler was able to barely make it.
Yeah, I'm playing at 8 times speed, so it goes by super fast.
The other two to defeat Birdo. Up next was 1-2, where Luigi was once again picked to jump across large gaps at the start of the stage. Kessler pretty much never stopped holding the run button, just tapping A at the right times to jump without slowing down. The Birdo fight.
Oh my gosh, rollout is cracked in this file. Dang. I'm not running this thing, it has 9 speed.
In 1-3, Kessler switched to Toad because he has a very bizarre but useful mechanic. If an enemy or other heavy object is picked up with Toad, he runs much faster than normal. He's the only character in the game with that property, so he can be incredibly useful.
Of course, there's a flag on it. Freaking spider, dude.
Kessler ran through much of the level with a Shy Guy above Toad's head, then threw a potion on top of the vase to warp to World 4. World 4-1 was pretty straightforward. Kessler picked up an enemy and ran with him, jumping to avoid enemies in his way. There's a rocket in the middle of the stage that
super fair fight.
Eggs. It can only take off to send you to the next part of the stage every 64 frames. As long as you arrive within a 64 frame window, you'll never lose time here. 4-2 was similar. Picking up an enemy with Toad.
If I had a single physical move, I would have won.
He picked up a potion again in this stage to warp to World 6.
This is just spamming Miracle.
Although he had some slowdowns along the way. World 6 is where the game really takes a big step up in difficulty. In 6-1,
Fire Bug type Shedinja, how many weaknesses? 3?
Through the stage as best he could.
So I might be able to get past the
really hard to do so quickly given the placement of the other
yeah, I think we're gonna be able to do a rival here.
He then went underground and had to dig to pick up a key. Digging quickly required precise rhythm to not lose time, as did jumping out of the sand once he had the key. Birdo was quickly
there's no way on earth I'm gonna be able to
6-2. Kessler went back
be able to run this thing, but I mean, whatever.
Albatross over part of the gap. It took a long time.
Yeah, there you go. See.
He then jumped on other enemies to get across.
Yes, Shedinja, if you can get a
Kessler went back to Toad
a ghost dark type Shedinja, it could be really good. The only way you'd be able to die is from like poison, burn, or weather effects like hail or sandstream. Wait, no, I forgot. Melodic's not a favorite. It's Kingdra that was a favorite.
On to World 7, the last world in the game. 7-1 features a lot of large jumps, so Kessler used Luigi again. He caught a rocket to go to the next screen, then
Oh my gosh.
a series of ladders and
Gyarados kind of cracked though.
It helps to have
Gyarados kind of cracked though.
gain vertical distance quickly, but Kessler
Oh my
still
gosh,
had
why is Smug 145 power? That should be illegal.
Finally,
What the
in
frick?
Another Birdo fight. It was on to the final stage, 7-2. This is the longest level in the game, featuring an outdoor section, a long indoor section, and a few boss fights.
Amphy, I gotta pick Amphy.
However, Kessler is able to skip over much of the level by performing a trick where you jump off a ladder to the ceiling and run across the various rooms. He made his way past a Birdo to the Hawkmouth,
I love Amphy.
where he hit him with a mushroom
Grass type, special.
Then it was on to the final
Wow.
boss, Wart. Vegetables are shot every
Yeah, I'm not gonna run it just because I illegally picked it. I just got excited because it's Line Frost and I really didn't want to friggin' pick
Hit
Cyndaquil.
him with a vegetable when his mouth opens 6 times. Kessler got the first 4 hits, had to
I gotta stop
retreat
kidding
and
myself,
delay the
man.
5th hit a cycle, then got the 6th hit to finish him off. And just like that, he had completed Super Mario Bros. 2 in just 9 minutes and 42 seconds. The route was simple enough. Start in World 1, warp to World 4, then warp to World 6, and play Worlds 6 and 7 to finish the game. Kessler submitted the run to both Speed Demos Archive and Twin Galaxies, the 2 leading speedrun websites at the time. And that's where the recorded record stood. It was an imperfect run.
Good luck and you go to sleep. No problem. I appreciate you stopping by. Hope you have a great night, dude.
But it was a start, and it stood as the world record, unchallenged for months. But over the following 2 years, he would be beaten twice. The first guy to do it was a runner named Chris Knight, better known as Cac. In August 2006,
Cac?
919, a 23-second improvement. Most of the time saves came in the back half of the run. He picked up a couple of seconds of World 4 from hesitating less while carrying the potion, and in 6-2, rather than slowly riding the albatross, he sped it up by jumping across. However, the bulk of his time save came in the last stage, 7-2. He used Toad instead of Luigi, so he saved some time by picking up enemies and running with them. The rest of the stage was improved too. Less hesitation, a faster Hawkmouth kill, and a faster Wart kill. So that was a pretty big improvement. But a year later, in June 2007, the record would be lowered again. The runner's name this time was Andrew G., a guy who would go on to hold the Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 2, Super Mario Bros. 3, and Super Mario World records, in some cases for years. Just a legendary Mario speedrunner. His Super Mario 2 time was 9:15, a 4-second improvement over Cac's run. But there was something different about this one. 3 years later, it was still standing strong at the top of the leaderboard. What made this run so good? Well, in World 1, he matched Cac's fast execution and added in this potion throw in 1-3. Instead of carefully placing the potion on top of the vase, Andrew went for a throw from far away to avoid slowing down. He timed it perfectly and it worked. Although he accidentally got hit in 4-1, he made the time back up in 4-2 from jumping off the first ladder. By precisely jumping off the side of a ladder to go higher, you can get to the top faster than having to slowly climb it. In 7-1, he used this trick to his full advantage, flying up the long vertical section in the middle of the level. After a 7-2 that matched Cac's run, Andrew had himself a 9:15. He celebrated in a Speed Demos Archive forum thread, and then the record just sort of went dormant. This was still in the pretty early ages of speedrunning, so games having big gaps between records was still pretty common. But for a game like Super Mario Bros. 2, a record
Yo, what's going on,
that
Icy?
long,
Yeah, we had a runner at the beginning, but freaking died to freaking
10,
Koga's last mon because of a freaking burn, bruh.
the runner this time was many.
So we're doing some crazy Kaizo.
Who's best known in the speedrunning
Yeah, this
community
mischievous
for
sucks.
his legendary Super Mario World record from 2013. Three years prior,
Your Evo's still alive? Nice.
beat Andrew's Mario 2
Where are you at in the game right now?
but only by 1 second, with a 9:14. Interestingly, this run was slower than Andrew's in a lot of ways. There were a handful of sloppy
Dude,
mistakes,
that sucks.
and he wasn't able to perform the fast.
Yeah, dude, I
I
could have beat Koga, but I would have to use my full restore, and I'm like, nah, frick that. I'd rather die than use my full restore.
Strategies. One was his Birdo kill in 6-2, where he was very aggressive and stacked mushroom blocks to hit Birdo quickly. The other big one was in 6-3. Instead of slowly sinking into the sand and running under the wall,
The weather part?
many
Oh,
did
okay.
this.
So you think you're gonna finish the run next stream, or at least try to?
He threw a Shy Guy to have him rebound, and jumped off of him at just the right time to make it over the wall. It saved 4 seconds over the older, slower route, and ultimately was enough to just barely beat out Andrew's 9:15. And that was the state of Mario 2 speedrunning in the early 2010s. You might be noticing
2 more probably? Oh, okay.
a
Fair enough.
record would be set, and then a couple years would pass without any activity. By 2012, the
20 pairs has chlorophyll. I think actually his normal ability is chlorophyll. Or maybe it's effect spore, I don't remember.
Dilemma. Rather than speeding up, the community's growth had drastically slowed down. They needed something new. So, in 2012, a group of players decided to shake things up. Before then, most players were submitting their Mario 2 runs to Twin Galaxies, and one of Twin Galaxies' staple rules was that glitches
He'll get a creep
aren't
on this.
allowed, which severely limits the possibilities for many speedruns. So, that summer, Mario 2 speedrunners decided to just ignore that rule and start doing runs with glitches. And it's a good thing they did, because as it turns out, Super Mario Bros. 2 is one of the most broken games on the NES.
There's like nothing in this forest, bruh. Yeah, literally nothing. Good here.
Once this decision was made, Mario 2 runners suddenly had a bunch of new material to work with.
Yeah, I figured I'd risk it. Try to run away again. Because I'm not catching a freaking Marchant, bro.
Forbidden by Twin Galaxies, like the double jump. By running off the corner of an enemy and jumping, the game thinks you're still standing on it even while you're in the air. So, if you press A again, you'll be able to jump once more and gain additional height. This trick had a few uses across the run, but was most important in World 1-1. By using the double jump to get to the top, you could use Toad instead of Luigi and run through the rest of the stage faster. Other tricks were a bit more complicated, like this warp in 1-1. So, what happened here? Well, it was Andrew G's variation of a glitch that Richard Ureta first used in a tool-assisted speedrun all the way back in 2005. Mario 2 has a very strange property where if you're in
I have to pick the Pokemon that's gonna
and are climbing a ladder, an
fight
enemy
the Type
landing on
Ocean.
you automatically reverses your direction. So, what you can do is intentionally get hit by the Shy Guy to enter an invincible state, then
time.
pick it up, run over to the ladder, and throw it. Once you're at the bottom of the ladder, you really quickly grab it to start climbing, and when the Shy Guy hits you, your direction reverses and you climb through the bottom of the floor. The game thinks you've legitimately moved on to the next screen, so it puts you right outside the Birdo fight as if you'd gotten there normally. Compared with the old method of picking up the bomb and blowing up the barrier to the door, this glitch was certainly faster than before, and it was enough to reach Birdo an egg cycle earlier to save a full 5 seconds. Finally, in 1-2 there was one last glitch. This one was discovered by Control-Alt-Destroy in November 2009. If you hop on the carpet, then move to the left to respawn another
Another
one,
speed time, really?
when it appears, you can approach it from the side and pick up the Pidgey. The combination of 2 carpet sprites on screen and the fact that Toad is holding the Pidgey means the carpet will then move
Pidgey!
at speed. You can fly to the end of the level and potentially get to Birdo a cycle sooner. These glitches combined could save over 10 seconds, and the other stages weren't entirely optimized either. So, a final time under 9 minutes was conceivable given the current record of 9:14. The question was, who was going to get there first? Well, in August
Dear
2012,
freaking lord, give me a mon that doesn't suck butt face, dude.
beating Menbu's run by 3 seconds. Unfortunately, although this run was live streamed on Twitch, he never saved the broadcast, so video of it no longer exists. However, this run wouldn't stand for too long anyway, because later that same month, an old school runner came back. On August 25th, 2012, Andrew G posted this time. This was the first ever recorded sub 9-minute run of Super Mario Bros. 2, and it was legendary. He built up a 7-second lead over the record in World 1 from the new glitches and cleaning up mistakes from Menbu, but the time saves didn't stop there. Menbu fell down the ladder in 7-1 and had a relatively slow Hawkmouth kill in 7-2, allowing Andrew to save another 9 seconds.
Dude, what is this freaking game, man? I always get the worst starter. Always. I never get the good starters, ever.
It was daunting to try to get out of World 1 with all the
Table rule is the worst thing in this universe to ever freaking exist, dude.
The next 7 levels weren't much easier. But in November 2012, somebody else came back. This time, it was CAC. And on November 18th, he managed to get an 8:52, beating Andrew by 6 seconds. Most of his time saves came in the back half of the run.
Okay, what the frick is this?
That Andrew missed.
All 3 of those Pokemon have had it on the table before. What in the world is up with this randomization,
He
dude?
held the Mario 2 record. But there was something very special about this run. Remember how in Andrew's 8:58, the run that CAC beat, he double jumped in 1-1, clipped through the ground with the Shy Guy, and did the carpet trick in 1-2? Well, CAC didn't do any of that. He beat Andrew's 8:58 with a glitch-free 8:52. So, how did he do it? Well, CAC lost 5 seconds in 1-1 because he didn't do the warp, meaning he got to Birdo and Egg Cycle later. But in Andrew's 1-2, he was actually barely slow enough to miss making it to Birdo a cycle earlier, meaning he didn't save any time over a glitch-free stage. So, CAC managed to not lose any time there. Even with a glitch-free World 1, he was only 5 seconds behind Andrew. And from there, CAC had some time he knew he could save.
That speed drop made him slow a bit, let's be honest. I had true on it, and I had 9 speed. There's no freaking way.
Kill where he missed the throw. CAC was able to improve in both areas and save 4 more seconds. But the biggest time save in the entire run was in 7-2. As was mentioned before, he saved 5 seconds from hitting a throw on Wart that Andrew missed. However, he saved another 5 seconds from arriving at Wart fast enough to catch an earlier vegetable cycle. Just like Birdo's eggs, Wart's vegetables are shot out every 256 frames. By tightening his movement in 7-2, he was able to scrape just enough time saved together to arrive at Wart a couple seconds sooner, catching the early vegetable. In total, he saved 10 seconds in the last stage, allowing him to beat Andrew's record without glitches. As it turns out, CAC reportedly had gotten times as low as 8:54 back in 2010, but didn't always record them. So, that begs the question. If CAC could get times in the low 850s without glitches, what could he do with them? As you'd expect, messages of congratulation poured in from across the community. This was 20 seconds ahead of his glitchless run. It was by far the greatest run of Super Mario Bros. 2 ever performed. Just like Andrew's run, he saved 5 seconds in 1-1 from doing the warp. In 1-2,
I feel like it's been 50 million years since I've had a Snorlax in KAIZO. I'm not even joking. That's not an exaggeration.
He threw a potion on top of a veggie and went to
Oh, it's immune. I'm an idiot.
He then immediately left, and on the first frame possible after leaving, he picked up the veggie beneath him. This caused it to get stuck in his head.
I wouldn't have run that anything anyway. I had 8 speed and stench. Like, frick everything, bro. Even when I get a good Pokemon, they still suck.
Since it was stuck in his head, this didn't apply. So he was able to take it into the boss room and defeat Birdo with it extremely quickly, saving a whopping 6 seconds over the glitchless route. That meant that coming out of World 1, he was 11 seconds ahead of his record. But it didn't stop there. In 4-1, he did another double jump to avoid having to hesitate. In 6-2,
honestly, this isn't bad for a MetaCham, but it's a MetaCham, so...
In 6-3,
I had a Master Ball and I didn't try to catch the level 8 Alexam. What the frick is wrong with me? At least I think it was level 8, I'm not sure.
By Jeff's sledge, where he threw a potion and jumped off of that. And in 7-1, he was able to successfully pull off the fast ladder climbs like Andrew G did. In short, it was remarkable how close to perfection the speedrun was. CAC actually calculated
it's a chancey. Might go for that actually.
Could only lower the record by 6 seconds. That meant that according to CAC, the perfect Mario 2 speedrun...
Okay, I could run away, so it's not exactly tempting.
He was that close to perfection. But ultimately, he didn't want to try taking it down any further.
I'd rather go for the... No, I should go for the Sceptile. I'm an idiot.
A year later, it was still at the top of the...
And 530 BST is crazy.
Second place, nearly 20 seconds behind. A year after that, nothing had changed. 832 was still on top by a mile. It was that good of a run. But then, in September 2015, the record finally got a new challenger. The person's name, fittingly, was I Love Mario. He was a top-level runner of a handful of platformers, including Blaster Master, Mario 3, and Mario World. But in September 2015, I Love Mario started to focus all of his efforts onto Super Mario Bros. 2, and lowered his personal best from the 840s into the 830s. By September 22nd, he was just 3 seconds behind the record. Much of where he was looking to save time over the record was with
how wide a chance.
World 6.
But now it's the rare encounter, isn't it?
Birdo actually jumped over CAC's first shot. In total, I Love Mario knew he could save about 4 seconds in World 6 from faster boss kills alone. That's
see, there's a Sceptile, but now it's level 6.
Perfect 826. On September
I might have better chance, or
he got on
like
a run that was
finding luck with the
Worlds 1 and 4.
Although it's good to know there's a Typhlosion here, so I can kill it for experience. That's good to know.
Who's gonna try to take down CAC's 832?
Oh my gosh, do I even want to evolve this thing? The frick? Its moveset's really sketch. No, I don't like that moveset enough. I'm gonna try for the
This run would end up
Sceptile.
finishing at the time of 832.1.
Please, dear lord.
CAC's record by a fraction of a second. I Love Mario was the new world record holder. His biggest notable mistake was in 6-2 when he got
Makes attacker pretty bulky, a little slow, but
however, he got most of the
pretty darn slow actually.
And the vast majority of the run looked clean. At the very least, it was enough to just
Slower than I like anyway.
record. But apparently that
I'll go for the Manectric actually.
Because the next day, he got an 830. It took 2 years for anybody to beat CAC's 832. But it took I Love Mario just 1 day to beat his own 832. This run was virtually identical to his last record, except he cleaned up the mistake in 6-2 to save a bit over a second. The world record was now just 4 seconds away from CAC's hypothetical 826. The record calmed down for a few months after this. I Love Mario had shown his dominance at the category, and a time of 830 was good enough for him. But by early 2016, yet another runner would come along. He got his personal best into the 830s, and by March 2016, he was at the point where he felt he could take the record from ILoveMario.
Dude, I don't know.
And maybe, just
No, that's not good enough.
take it into the 820s. This is BJW.
I hate to say it, but honestly, my best bet.
BJW's initial
Actually, I
goal
don't know
wasn't
what
to
my best
go
bet
for
would
the
have been.
world record.
Catching a Typhlosion, obviously, but
He found
actually, I'm
that
not even sure I'm allowed to catch Typhlosion if it's a like an enemy or whatever. I legit don't know if I can do that or not. I don't think so.
6-1. The record's vase room could have been cleaner, especially hopping up out of the sand after grabbing the key. BJW knew he could be quicker and not take such a wide angle, allowing for a smoother trip up to the top. There were also improvements to the Birdo kills he could get by rapid firing the mushroom blocks quicker. With these improvements combined, getting an 829 was feasible, even if the rest of the run wasn't absolutely perfect.
This thing got pure power and physical moves, dude. This would be like the most busted staple of all time.
March 7th, he had a run that gained a second in World 1 from a really fast Birdo kill. He also gained a second in 6-1 from a faster transition after picking up the key.
Golda could be good.
So, going into World 7, BJW had a shot at pulling this off. As he flew through the last world, the gravity of the situation suddenly became very real to him.
Everything in this route sucks.
Guys.
Okay.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Well, that certainly was a sub 830. As it turns out, his World 7 was nearly flawless. He dashed up the ladders in 7-1, nailed 7-2, and had the perfect wart kill at the end. But as great as it was, BJW still wasn't entirely satisfied with this record.
It's not over yet, guys. This game needs an 827 at least. It's not over, but the first hard part's done.
So BJW acknowledged that 827 was possible. But what about Kak's original perfect time of 826? Well, we have to break down the run and look at what time was left to be saved. In 1-3, it was
Dude, you couldn't have just let me have that, Mew, really?
max speed could be achieved earlier. This would save a fraction of a second over the record. It was also possible to be slightly faster at the start of 1-2 when moving on to the second carpet. By cutting the turn back tighter, you could potentially save another fraction of a second. And of course, it was possible to be faster on a couple of the Birdo fights. In 6-2,
If we got to 11 speed, I would have tried, but it didn't, so I won't.
Meaning he had to waste a fraction of a second going to get it. A few other fights could be improved by tiny amounts as well with faster execution. Taking all the aforementioned time saves into account, it was theoretically possible to take the record down to 826 and match Kak's theoretical perfect time. And when ILoveMario came back
it was a range
to take the record from BJW, he realized that the 826 might not be that unreasonable after all.
I don't want to say anything, but this is the freaking run. This is the freaking run. Oh my crap. Man. This is the run. This is it. We won. This is the run I beat Crazy KAIZO. Don't even care about it, Blissy, man. Don't even care. I think we have, I was about to say, I think we have 3 weaknesses. All special. But our special defense is higher than our physical defense, so that's good.
On May 27th, 2016, I Love Mario made history. It wasn't just an 826. It was a low 826. He got the sniffing
Fun love.
the birdo kills, the ladder
Stop!
jump,
No way!
Cax 826.
What the frick?
Truth be told,
Bull crap!
it wasn't a perfect time anymore, since a couple new minor strategies
That's all it took.
since Cat came up with it.
This game's bull crap.
Time approaching the limits on what was
This was literally the freaking run, and I died to the most bull crap of all bull crappery.
runs in the world
Literally the stupidest thing I've ever seen in the history of this game, bro.
alone. A nearly unbreakable world record. But incredibly, in October 2017,
That's so freaking mad.
the time saved
That's
was
the-
very minimal.
That's
Before that,
bull.
he
That's
was
literally
able
just
to
pure
ladder
bull
jump
crap,
and
dude.
started to get to the top quicker. He also
Whatever,
once again
man.
saved fractions of a second on the World 6 Birdo fights.
A 145 power, 95 accuracy rollout, bro. That's unheard of. That's like that was the run.
I Love Mario's dominance in the category was clear. He was essentially in the same position CAC was in a few years prior,
I'm so freaking mad.
comfortably at the top of the leaderboard, having lowered the record several times in a row over the course of years, with no real rival. But it was at this point in time, in October 2017, that the story takes an interesting turn. During that month, an up-and-coming challenger lowered his personal best to 5 seconds behind the record, and decided he was gonna try to beat it. The problem was, the remaining time saves were getting extremely minimal. But if there was anyone who could do it, it was this guy. He was a Super Mario World speedrunning champion, with records in numerous categories. This is Green Death Flavor, also known as GDF.
It just fricked me.
Again, there really wasn't anything new GDF could do to help him out. The key to beating the record was going to be tiny optimizations. Cleaner movement at the start of 1-2, grabbing the sniffet that I Love Mario had missed, and as always, small birdo optimizations. And on top of that, he would have to take 5 seconds off his personal best to beat the record. It took over 2 years for the record to be lowered by 5 seconds. GDF was going to try to do it in a fraction of that time. And on October 28th, 2017, he got on this run.
Give me the worst of the three. By like a long shot too.
25.81. That meant it was time for a frame count. When speedruns are extremely close in length, human error on stopping the timer means it's hard to tell if a run was actually the record or not. So, GDF now had to go back and carefully see exactly when the run began and finished to get the exact time of the run. The time to beat was 825.81.
Oh man, it's still at 24. Now it's at 25. Walk. Walk. Please walk. Please walk. Please walk. Alright, no. Oh.
Yo, Nevi. Dude, yeah, we had a freaking Ursaring runner, dude. And we died to Koga's last Pokemon because of a burn, bruh.
A crushing run.
I was like, are you
But
serial, man?
ultimately, GDF would never get a run this close to the world record again. He stopped grinding.
Yeah,
and
it sucked
I Love
pretty
Mario's
bad.
825 continued the
I mean,
same for months.
we just had like we didn't have any status heals. The only way I could have healed the burn. My grade screen fell back. The only way we could have healed the burn is if we used my full restore, my only full restore. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yet another old runner came.
Like, I'm just not doing that. Like, there's no way, bro.
Andrew G.
Thought I beat Fire. No, I have never beaten FIRERED KAIZO ever. I've only ever beaten Emerald KAIZO.
He was coming back to drop a bombshell of a new strategy. See, back in 2011, Andrew G had worked on a tool-assisted speedrun of Mario 2 with Aglar, coming up with a bunch of
Yeah, it was Emerald, yeah.
strategies that were
With my with a Gengar in like under 400 attempts.
One of those
But
was an extremely fast way to complete 1-1.
my
For 7 years, this trick
FIRERED looks just awful, or
to do in real time.
I guess.
But in 2018, Andrew G revisited it and came up with a way to do it. It was extremely difficult, undoubtedly the hardest trick in the whole run, but it was possible. It started with a potion. Remember the veggie glitch in 1-2, where you could get a vegetable
Course we're there.
to carry to the next room?
Fireball, nice.
Well, in 1-1, you had to do that with a POW block. It would then be stored in the game's memory.
What file are you on?
When you entered the next room.
I'm on attempt. Well, I'm doing some crazy KAIZO right now. I'm not doing like legit
60th of a second.
attempts right now, but I'm on attempt 2,385
You jump up to the
currently
shy guy and
for
throw the POW block.
for
With the POW
FIRERED.
block throw, you have a 2-frame window to store an enemy if you pick it
But
up.
I'm doing crazy KAIZO right now because I'm taking a
That's
break
what you could do with the shy guy.
from regular
Even though it
KAIZO.
doesn't look like you're picking it up, it goes in the game's memory, just like the POW block did on the last screen. Finally, to clip through the floor to the next room, you had to get.
Well, I regret catching this thing. Not only is it not good, but it's super freaking slow.
Climb up the ladder while the
So
other
I won't be able to run away from Jack.
Just like with the last clip, this will cause you to climb through the bottom of the floor onto the next screen. When you arrive, you'll be holding the shy guy from before. By throwing it at the right time, it can bounce 3 times to defeat Birdo much quicker than normal. Doing all of this could save about 4 seconds in 1-1, but think of all that has to go right. A 1-frame trick, then some precise movement, a 2-frame trick, careful maneuvering to get the
Yeah, I'm
bomb
just gonna
flip,
accept.
then a super precise throw with the shy guy. 1-1 would very quickly develop a reputation as being a JO level, because hardly any record-paced run would escape it. With a 4-second improvement to the first level, the world record now had major potential to be
Yeah.
broken.
I mean, I'm just not even shocked anymore. I always get the worst table options every single time, without fail.
World record level. The first was the record holder himself, I Love Mario. The second was a relatively new runner to Mario 2, but a person who had.
In fact, I'm just gonna stop freaking. I'm just gonna stop freaking using the tracker. I'm just gonna go right gang the whole time from now on, because the tracker freaks me every single time, every single chance that it gets. So we're going full on right gang every time.
Castlevania, even 13th place in the
Like, I just don't care anymore.
%, on Sega Genesis. This runner's name, very fittingly, was Cool Kid. In October 2018, I Love Mario and Cool Kid were both doing runs with the new 1-1 strats, but it would be I Love Mario who struck initially. On October 1st, he beat the record by 2 seconds with an 8:23, gaining 4 seconds in 1-1 but bleeding some time in 1-2 and 7-2. The very next day, however.
Man, I don't think I can run this thing. It's moves. Its only 2 good moves are like super inaccurate.
Almost a full second in 1-1 because the orb didn't bounce far away from him, and another second in 1-2 because he fixed the slow start from the last record. Cool Kid was in a pretty tough spot now, being 5 seconds behind I Love Mario, but all he could do was keep trying. 10 days after I Love Mario's 8:20, Cool Kid got a run going that was a bit behind after 1-1 because he missed a jump after the warp. But he made the time up in World 4 from cleaning up a mistake from I Love Mario and a new power squat jump strategy to go higher on the ladder. However, he'd fall behind in World 6 thanks to a couple of slightly sloppy Birdo kills. Going into World 7, he needed some time save to have a shot at the record. So he decided to go for something incredibly risky. A trick known as Fast 7-1. Remember how rockets can
There's nothing good in this route.
64 frames? Well, Fast 7-1 involves playing as fast as possible to catch an earlier rocket. GDF was the first player to experiment with this trick. The most important part is on
I think I've seen
the
everything, right? No, there's one point I haven't seen, but like, let's be
precisely
honest.
jump toward the albatross right away rather than waiting.
Everything is gonna be
Quickly
good.
switch to left to make it to the post. You can see here how much faster you have to be than the old method. If done properly, you can barely make it to the earlier rocket and save the 64 frames. Unfortunately, it was incredibly difficult. But Cool Kid had no choice but to go for it if he wanted the world record.
For alligator. Ooh, and a Typhlosion, so we can kill the Typhlosion for experience.
Oh my god, alright. It's up 820 pace.
As it turns out, Fast 7-1 was enough for a new record of 820.55.
Alright. I mean, not by full second, but...
For the first time in 2.5 years, Mario 2 had a new record holder. Cool Kid was able to add another record to his
Yeah,
list.
great physical attacker.
And 8 days later, he
Its
broke it
moveset's
again.
garbage. Oh my gosh. We're just resetting now, dude.
it's pretty good.
That's the worst moveset I think I've ever seen in the history of ever.
So, Cool Kid had won out in the world record battle. Both he and I Love Mario stopped playing after this 819, with I Love Mario trailing Cool Kid by just 1 second. And for the next year, that's where the world record stood. An 819 was incredibly strong, and without a new strategy, beating it would take a lot of effort. But then, as it happened so many times in this game's history before, that new strategy they were
Favorite.
looking for was discovered. It was once again in 1-1, but this time it was much simpler than before. It turned out that you could throw the power block sooner in the underground to start the process of the warp earlier. This not only saved time from getting to the next screen quicker, but also allowed for another time save. With the old strategy, you used to have to jump into the pole after the Shy Guy grab to slow down, because if you reach the end too quickly, Birdo would actually jump over the Shy Guy throw because of the point in the pattern you were at. The time save in the cave, however, meant that you were so fast that you'd reach Birdo before that point in the pattern. So you didn't have to intentionally slow down at the pole, and could save some additional time there. In total, the improvements to 1-1 could save another 1.5 seconds. That was enough to bring Cool Kid back. In November 2019, he had a run that successfully saved time in 1-1, and although the rest of the run was up and down, the new 1-1 strat was enough to knock the record down to 8:17.
Thanks for the GG's, guys.
As you could probably tell from Cool Kid's wild reaction, this was a really solid record. In addition to the new 1-1 time save, he also managed to hit Fast 7-1 to save a bit more time. So now it was I Love Mario's turn, and a week later, he got an 8:18.
Solid special
1
attacker.
second behind Cool Kid, but
Snorlax.
he had trouble saving all the time he needed. So
Yeah, I mean, I'll try
starting
running
with
it.
2020, Cool Kid's 8:17 was still on top of the leaderboard. That is, until January 17th. On that day, I Love Mario had a run going that was about even with the record coming out of World 1. He gained over half a second in 4-1 because Cool Kid had missed the double jump, but lost it back in 7-1 from missing the fast rocket. It ended up being about enough to cancel out, so when I Love Mario stopped the splits at the end of the run, they read a time that was essentially tied with Cool Kid's world record. Once again, it was time for a frame count. This time, it would go in the runner's favor, just ahead of Cool Kid's 8.
I don't know why I didn't go for Pursuit there.
These two guys
Personally,
have been
but
rivals
whatever.
for years now, and after all that time, their personal bests were separated by just 1/10 of a second. But there was still a bit more time to squeeze out of this record. There was a new strat they could do in 1-2 where they precisely grabbed the Pidgeot from the side, allowing the second one to spawn sooner to get to the end quicker. I Love Mario's ladder movement at the start of 4-2 wasn't as good as it could have been either. And in 7-1, the fast rocket cycle was still possible to achieve. So there definitely was room to take the record lower. And with two competitors at practically the same level, there was no telling who was going to take it there. But on January 26th, 2020, Cool Kids started up a session of Mario 2 world record attempts.
That's really good.
Level 19 before the rival is actually insane.
This was the first ever 816 in Super Mario Bros. 2 history. It's also where the world record stands today. But as great as it is, there's a fair amount of time left on the table here. In 6-1, Cool Kid failed to grab the first sand block right away, and in 7-1, he missed the fast rocket. Those two tricks alone could push the record down to 815. But if more tricks can be brought over from the tool-assisted speedrun, who knows where this record could go? The future of Mario 2 speedrunning is unknown, but bright. Thanks for watching. Hey, thanks for making it to the end. If you enjoyed, it'd mean a lot to me if you could share this video with 1 or 2 other people. It really goes a long way on YouTube. So, thank you, and Happy New Year.
Oh, nice.
Mario Kart Wii has some ridiculous shortcuts. Grumble Volcano, Coconut Mall. For speedrunners, they're certainly no secret. I covered many of these in a video a couple of years ago. Tricks known as ultra shortcuts. However, since then, a revolution has taken place. Since 2019, ultra shortcuts in Mario Kart Wii have been discovered at a rate never before seen. Many of them are only theoretically possible, using inputs so precise they can't normally be done, but they break the game in ways unimaginable to most. This is the story of the Ultra Shortcut Revolution.
I learned Fury Attack. The only reason it's kind of tempting is because it's 100% accuracy. I think I want to forget Fire Punch, to be honest. Yeah. I think it's worth it, personally. Am I wrong? Probably, but who knows?
So, what is an ultra shortcut? Well, naturally, it's a shortcut that skips a large portion of a track. But as you'll see in a minute, there's actually a bit more to it than that. From 2008 through 2018, courses like Mushroom Gorge, Wario's Gold Mine, and DK Jungle Parkway had shortcuts discovered so players could complete them in under a minute. They were performed in a variety of ways. In Mushroom Gorge, you ride on a wall around the finish line. In Wario's Gold Mine, you bounce off a pipe to the track above. And on DK Jungle Parkway, you fly high in the air and clip through a wall to the end of the track. Over the course of about a decade,
Okay, that's concerning.
Discovered at the rate of about 1 per year on a variety of
I cannot believe that just happened. I literally cannot believe that just happened. Endeavor missed a 90% accurate move, and then they have a priority move on top of that. That's great. No, that doesn't make any sense. The odds of that were insurmountable.
And then, in 2019,
dude, really? Like, what the frick is that?
Ultra shortcuts
like, nobody can disagree with me that that was bullcrap. Literally nobody.
To do with the game's faulty checkpoint system, and to see how it works, we're gonna look at one of the most broken tracks in Mario Kart Wii. This is Sherbetland. This course is a massive loop, and obviously the programmers didn't want you to skip any significant portion of it. So they built an intricate checkpoint system into every track to try to prevent that. On screen now is the checkpoint map for Sherbetland. All of the blue lines represent normal checkpoints, which are used to tell Lakitu where to place you if you fall off. Those can be ignored. The green lines, on the other hand, are key checkpoints. These are the ones that really matter, and you can think of them as boxes that extend all the way until the next checkpoint. The red starting line also acts as a key checkpoint. The game wants you to drive through all of these without skipping any in order to give you credit for a lap. The way it does this is with a counter that updates as you drive through each key checkpoint. On Sherbetland, there's 8 key checkpoints and the finish line, which counts as region 0. So as long as your counter is at region 8 when you cross the finish line, you'll get credit for the lap. The game also has a failsafe to make sure you don't skip any key checkpoint regions. The only key checkpoint regions that are loaded at any
Of course it was a low PowerPoint move. Of course it was. The one time I need it to not be, right?
Box itself, the region behind you is loaded too. A region has to be loaded for your counter to update to it. So, say you're here in region 1, and you try to skip ahead to region 3. Well, the only other region loaded is the one in front of you, region 2. So when you drive through region 3, it won't be loaded, and the game's counter won't update. And since you'll drive through the finish line with the counter at 1 instead of 8, the lap won't count. So skipping any large portion of the track isn't doable. Another failsafe the game has involves the finish line. If you ever go from the box right in front of the finish line to the box right behind it, the game will subtract a lap from your total. That way, you can't just go through or around the finish line to the end and complete it for a free lap. So, since you couldn't skip any key checkpoints, the only possible shortcuts seem to be small corner cutters. The game's checkpoint system did its job, but it had one flaw. One major, game-breaking flaw. If you start any shortcut from key checkpoint region 0, right in front of the finish line, the key checkpoint box behind you is still loaded, region 8. So you can skip a massive portion of the track, and as long as you started in that first box, your counter can still be updated to region 8, and the lap will count. Shortcuts that abuse this specific glitch are classified as ultra shortcuts. And sure enough, Sherbetland has one that's possible. This is the Sherbetland Ultra Shortcut. It involves doing a trick known as a wall clip. By backing up, using a mushroom, and doing a wheelie to get at least 5 frames of airtime and adjust your bike's rotational angle, you can run into the side of certain objects to clip high into the air. This has a variety of uses across the game, but back in July 2015, a player named Blaze figured out that you could wall clip off of the finish line pole and land far enough back to respawn a bit behind the finish line. You can see from the checkpoint map what's happening. You start in the box in front of the finish line, then need to land in a specific spot in this checkpoint to respawn. Then, since key checkpoint 8 is loaded, you need to turn around and go touch the box to update the game's counter before driving forward to the finish. A lap could be completed in under 20 seconds. For a few years, people took turns lowering the 3-lap world record, and by late 2017, it was a 1:43 by a runner named Guy. The biggest issue with the shortcut, however, was that it could only be done once per race, since the act of respawning takes your mushrooms away, which are required to get the wall clip in the first place. So, if you could somehow do this ultra shortcut without respawning, then that would be huge. And it seemed like that should be possible. By angling your bike to the left more, you could make it back to the track without a respawn. But doing so would cause the lap.
Dude, it's like they freaking knew exactly what turn I was gonna heal, bro.
The game has. the 95% rule. The game actually keeps track of how much.
Why did he get the freaking most godlike luck in the universe?
Or at least the game's best estimation of how much you completed. If it ever sees you skipping more than 95% of a track from one checkpoint to the next, it won't count the following lap. Now, the game actually isn't that great at tracking this in most cases. In courses like Grumble Volcano, for instance, where you're clearly skipping more than 95% of the track by going on the rock, the game only registers you as skipping about 83%, so the trick works. But on Sherbetland, since you have to cross over this checkpoint to land on the track, the game thinks you went from 0% to 97%, meaning the 95% rule was not satisfied and the lap wouldn't count. For years, the 95% rule prevented the non-respawn ultra shortcut from happening. But in May 2019, a tool-assisted speedrunner known as Swear got an idea. The game's percentage of completion updates anytime you enter a checkpoint. So you could drive ahead to the next checkpoint, then re-enter the first checkpoint from further ahead, at about 2% completion. Then, if you manage to wall clip and land on the track while your completion percentage updated to 97%, the 95% rule would be satisfied and the lap would count. So, Swear got to work at creating a tool-assisted speedrun of Sherbetland. A tool-assisted speedrun, or a TAS, is a type of speedrun where the player uses tools like slowdown, save states, and frame by frame to create higher levels of gameplay than humans can normally perform.
It's funny because I could actually see Diglett as a normal type.
He and fellow tassers Akari, CF, Luke, and Thomas released their 3 out of 3 Sherbetland tasks, with 1 mushroom used on each lap to just barely land on the track and have the ultra shortcut count. A run clocking in at just 35 seconds. So the focus turned
Brothers
normally in real time.
Like bruh.
On May 16th,
I'm so sorry.
Bryce managed to hit the no respawn version, but used 2 mushrooms in the process and could only do it once, getting a new world record of 140. Just over a month.
Dude, you broke out a gray ball? You suck.
By doing the 2 mushroom no respawn method on lap 1, then using his last mushroom to do the wall clip again and land in the water for a lap skip. This same method would be improved over the following months, down to a 116 by Arthur, which is where the record stands today. As of now, nobody has hit the 1 mushroom no respawn lap skip in real time even once. Arthur got pretty close in October 2020, with his hitting against the edge, but he couldn't make it. So given that, doing this 3 times in a row like the task does seems out of the question. Right now, it looks impossible. But who knows what the future of Sherbetland holds. These Sherbetland developments can be considered the first major events of the Ultra Shortcut revolution. Over the following several weeks in mid-2019, discoveries went dormant for a bit while players worked on improving various world records. But in July, seemingly out of nowhere, possibly the craziest day in Mario Kart Wii history took place. Remember how I mentioned before that ultra shortcuts in the past have been discovered at the rate of about 1 per year? Well, during these 24 hours, there wasn't a new ultra shortcut discovered. There were 3 of them. Call it a ridiculous coincidence. Call it a culmination of years of effort from the community. Whatever it was, the end result was incredible. On July 11th and 12th, new ultra shortcuts were revealed on N64 Bowser's Castle, Shy Guy Beach, and Koopa Cape. Bowser's Castle was first, being revealed on July 11th, and it looked quite similar to the one on Sherbetland. This shortcut was first theorized by a tasser known as CF, and successfully tasked by Luke with help from a handful of others. It began by doing a humanly impossible trick known as rapid fire hop abuse. The game needs your bike to be on the ground for at least 2 frames to update its rotational angle. By alternating pressing and releasing the hop button every frame, or 30 times per second, you can ensure that your bike is only on the ground for 1 frame at a time, so your bike's rotational angle will never update. This can only be done in a tool-assisted speedrun. Then, once you get near this wall, you can release the rapid fire hop abuse, causing the game to quickly update your rotational angle and slam your front wheel into the ground. You'll briefly fly into the air, allowing you to get over the wall next to the finish line. By then doing a wall clip, you'll fly high in the air and down into the lava. This ultra shortcut works just like the one on Sherbetland. These checkpoints extend out a bit into the lava, so it's possible to land in them even without making it to the road. So once again, you can land out of bounds, respawn on the course, then go back to hit the last key checkpoint and finish the lap. But ultimately, even though the shortcut was similar in structure to Sherbetland, the rapid fire hop abuse made it TAS only. It was impossible to do this humanly. The second shortcut, on the other hand, was humanly viable, but it has quite the background. This same day the N64 Bowser's Castle Ultra shortcut was discovered, a player named Breakson posted this gif of wall clipping off a bomb. Right away, CF realized the massive potential this had. If you could clip off a bomb right in front of the finish line and land somewhere back here, you would then be able to touch the last key checkpoint and get an extremely fast lap. The bombs in Shy Guy Beach operate on a cycle, with bombs landing and exploding at the same times in the same places each time you play. And coincidentally, right when the race begins, a bomb lands in front of the finish line, exactly where you'd want to clip off of it. So naturally, that's what the players were aiming for. But every time they tried, the bomb would explode just too soon. Luke was able to get close with the TAS, but it exploded frames too early every single time. So, CF's original TAS was for the second time the bomb landed there. But that meant waiting for over 3 minutes. That ruled out any hopes of beating the 3-lap world record. But you could still beat the single lap record. By driving to the end of the first lap, then waiting until 3 minutes on the timer, you could quickly start the second lap, then wall clip off the bomb to the end of the lap, and smash the fastest lap world record. And later the same day, that's what players were doing. Justin became the first player to set a world record with the Ultra Shortcut with a 20-second lap, and he chose to spend his 3-minute wait by eating an entire pack of Oreo cookies.
I'm eating with no milk, by the way.
A couple weeks later, this method would be improved.
Wow! One more turn, dude.
By starting the clip sooner, you could clip off the back of the bomb to shave a fraction of a second. Although it was more precise, this method would ultimately
That was so baloney, dude.
as well. The current lap record.
Not to mention he could have missed. Okay, I didn't even mean to pick that one. Mention he could have missed high jump kick, but whatever.
In the game. So those were the first 2 shortcuts, both discovered on July 11th. They both involved wall clips, flying high into the air to skip a lap. But just a short while later, the third ultra
190 base power Mach Punch?
and this one,
Bro, what? That's I didn't even know the power could go that high on the moves. Oh my gosh. That's insane.
Blaze, being revealed in a TAS on July 12th.
Why'd you reset? Because it had 6 speed, I wouldn't be able to run away from everything. And it was a pre-evolution.
Tilting the nose of your bike down.
Then
you start the
I think our best
fire
move
hop
is
abuse to
powder
keep your back
spell.
wheel in the air as you move forward. By releasing it, you'll get slammed into the ground again and launched high in the air. The rapid fire hop abuse alone makes this humanly impossible, but in case it didn't, this next part would likely take care of that too. By angling your wheel up while in the air, you can then do a wall clip and land inside the barrier while still technically being on the track. Then you maneuver close to the finish line with extreme precision and fall off the course. When you respawn, you're behind the finish line and can finish the lap. As this trick stands right now, it's certainly not humanly viable. Getting across this gap seems to be
Yo,
impossible without
we gotta name this after Icy because he's running a Electabuzz in Emerald right now.
Never perform this outside of a TAS. So those were the 3 ultra shortcuts discovered in rapid succession.
Icy, you suck. I'm just kidding.
Shortcut on Sherbetland, that made it 4 ultra shortcuts discovered in 2019. Never before had the game seen a period of discovery like this. There had been years in the past with multiple ultra shortcuts found, but never had there been 4 separate ones.
Dude, all dark type moves? What in the world?
2019 came and went without any new discoveries, calming the scene for a little while. And then came 2020. "2019 may have been an incredible year for Mario Kart Wii, but 2020 really was the year of the Ultra Shortcut. And it all started just 9 days in, on N64 Mario Raceway. This one has to do with the wall in the center of the course. Players knew for a while that if they could somehow get inside of it, they might be able to maneuver around in it to get a lap skip. Issue was, it has a massive invisible wall that extends upward in the sky. Any attempts to get up inside of it would be blocked by this wall. But in early January 2020, a player named Jaden pointed out that a section of this wall by the mushroom extended out past the wall, and the bottom here has no hit detection. So if you could somehow go through this section of the invisible wall, you could land inside to set up a lap.
Stantler is like the, or no, Noctowl is like the bird version of Stantler, it feels like.
Wall clipping off of this.
Does that even make any sense? I don't know, but.
From there, she then had to get to the end of the lap. You essentially have to go around the rest of the course while in the wall, but still touching the road. Doing this is beyond precise. You have an incredibly tight space to work with. There's a point midway through where you have to turn more than 90 degrees to the left, and a player named Charlie figured out that to turn that far,
Oh my gosh, let's just keep walking to the trees, why not?
Do a standstill mini turbo while in the air. This tedious movement continued for a while, but Snoop eventually got to the end of the lap. She then backed across the finish line, used a mushroom, and fell off the track, then respawned and drove to the end for a 19-second lap. This incredibly precise portion of the shortcut was developed by Jellopuff. You have to go from this box right in front of the finish line to this box back here.
Jellopuff, bruh. Imagine being nicknamed Jellopuff. The worst part is that they chose that name.
But it can be done. This obviously can only be used.
It doesn't like be anything good.
Since the
Forest.
takes far too long.
Oh, we've only had 2 bonds, never mind.
known task
Not
is
necessarily true
a
yet.
second lap, published by EJ, but with contributions from a plethora of players. But here's the crazy part. Technically, nothing here is humanly impossible. There's no rapid fire hop abuse, and that wall clip at the start can be done. Even the movement inside the wall, as insanely precise as it is, technically none of those moves
Physical
are
attacking
strictly
CAC-turn. Our moves are.
So,
It's actually pretty decent.
conventional speedrunning.
Yeah, I'll run it.
Anything
Might be good.
possible
That's so funny though. A 25 power hyper beam is crazy.
Most
What?
in the Mario Kart Wii community don't see it as a humanly possible trick, even though none of the moves themselves are technically impossible. Right now, it just seems a little bit out of reach. The next shortcut, on the other hand, is absolutely out of reach. This is Dry Ruins.
What type is it? Bug.
Let's start by looking at the checkpoint map. As with most of these shortcuts, the goal is simple. You go from the box in front of the finish line, out around the finish line and out of bounds, then respawn, turn to hit the last key checkpoint, and drive forward to finish the lap. The key to doing that is getting around the finish line, but here's the problem. Around the course is a massive invisible wall, highlighted here in blue. You can't get around the finish line checkpoint without getting past this wall, and it just goes up and up. So that was the big challenge. Figure out a way to get past the invisible wall. Blaze took it upon himself to solve it. There wasn't a way to go through the wall, but Blaze had another idea. He was gonna try to go over it. Enter the super grind.
Bang.
A super grind is a form of rapid fire hop abuse. You do the normal hop inputs on every other frame, but add in alternating between neutral and a direction on the control stick. This causes your horizontal speed to build up as well as changing your bike's rotational angle, So when you eject off the ramp, you get sent high in the air. By then doing a wall clip off of the rock, you go even higher and can eventually make it up over the invisible wall and out of bounds. The rapid fire hop abuse makes this impossible to do humanly, but on January 16th, Blaze managed to get a 27-second lap in a TAS. That made it 2 ultra shortcuts discovered in January 2020. Just 1 month into the year, and 2 more tracks were already broken. The discoveries did slow down for a few months after this, as February and March came and went without any new ultra shortcuts. But in April, the 3rd ultra shortcut of 2020 was revealed. And this one had been in development for a long time. This is Bowser Castle 3. To start, we have to go back to July 2019, when Justin came up with a rough idea for an ultra shortcut that would barely save any time. At the end of the lap, you could hop up on the wall and wall clip to cut this corner of the track. Issue was, you'd be skipping the second to last key checkpoint. Your tracker would be at 5, then wouldn't update to 6, and since region 7 isn't loaded, the lap wouldn't count. But luckily, Justin had a way around that, skipping the first key checkpoint too. This might seem counterintuitive, but think about how the checkpoint system works. By skipping region 1, the game thinks you're still in region 0, meaning the last region is loaded too. So, skipping region 6 is inconsequential since the only other region loaded is region 7, and the counter updates once you get there, allowing for a successful lap. This same idea of skipping the first checkpoint to allow for a later skip was already used on Maple Treeway, so it wasn't a new concept. Justin's idea for skipping the first checkpoint involved wall clipping off the finish line pole, but that ultimately wouldn't end up working. The angle you would need to approach the pole wasn't viable for a wall clip, so that idea was ruled out. The next day, Benny theorized another method. It was actually possible to wall clip off of certain blocks. You can very precisely fall off the side of these blocks.
Nice, we beat Brock. Let's go.
Clip off of them to get launched far forward.
Alright, Team 39 is Sing.
This method was viable, but only if you use the spear.
90% accurate Sing. It's kind of tempting.
The lap was still slower than the non-shortcut record, since the spear's poor
I think I'm gonna forget Smog.
The non-shortcut task to beat was 36.656. If someone could get a time under that, then this
we're gonna name it
a new ultra shortcut.
We're gonna name it Cat.
Estoloy 62
That's funny.
Would later prove that the first skip was possible with the Flame Runner, the bike typically best for getting fast times. That opened the door to maybe turning it into an official ultra shortcut, but when Akari and Monster lowered the non-shortcut task down by half a second in October, that put a bit of a damper on things. But a few months later, a group of taskers came back. They felt that if they could just find a bit of time to save, they could make this ultra shortcut a reality. So, they got to work. The time to beat was 35.936.
I think actually gets a pretty decent amount of moves.
On April 26th, the final task was published. A 35.743, just ahead of the non-shortcut lap record. EJ was technically the first person to beat the non-shortcut task, after finding the faster way to turn for the second skip, but the final product had contributions from Estoloy, Curio, Malio, Marth, Monster, Rocky, and Snoop.
It's Malio, you doofus, not Malio, you freaking doofer, man.
Culminating in a new
Guys, I'm boycotting Summoning Salt because he said Malio instead of Malio.
third of 20.
Bruh.
Now, none of these three had been done humanly, but just seeing ways that a task could break courses was amazing. Still, though, there wasn't anything new where you could pick up a controller and perform it. That's what the discoveries of 2020 had been missing. But in July, an interesting development was made to an old one. Waluigi Stadium had an ultra shortcut from back in 2015. You did a massive jump up high to skip the first key checkpoint, then performed rapid fire hop abuse to clip through a zipper and skip part of the course. It was an impressive shortcut, but the rapid fire hop abuse made it task only. End of story. Right? Well, for years, players have been working to make this shortcut humanly possible. One of the earliest efforts was from a player named Sam F. His idea was to jump in the air, hit off the top of the finish line banner, and pass through an invisible wall to later in the track. This finish line banner is technically a horizontal wall, and whenever your bike contacts one, it's temporarily able to pass through all other walls. Although Sam couldn't make it to the track with his method, using the banner for the invisible wall would be explored years later. In January 2020, Justin and Benny came up with a variant of the original task method. You'd do a mini turbo for speed, reach the top of the banner, and use it to clip through the invisible wall, all without using a mushroom. Then, upon reaching the track, rather than doing the rapid fire hop abuse to clip through the zipper, you do this.
What? Dude! Really?
Believe it or not,
Well, that's the end. That's literally the end.
part of the shortcut was viable.
That's...
The shroomless start that the community was on.
I get burned in the first turn.
Precision of a task,
I heal said burn,
have enough speed
and then
to
I
reach
get
track.
the 10% chance to be burned from Blaze Kick immediately after. You can't make this crap up, man. You really can't.
Jello Puff proved
I mean, like, I just have no words. Like, that's just my luck, I guess.
and using a task to perfect the angle and drift. Once again, nobody knew for sure if this was too precise to do humanly, but the inputs themselves weren't impossible. Players tried to do this for a few days, but ultimately nobody was able to hit it. Back to the drawing board. Until EJ came out with this method 5 days later. It was similar to Justin and Benny's method, but had much more leeway. You would use a mushroom to make it up to the banner, then clip to the left and have your front tire hit the dirt. By then hopping, your bike will bounce to the right, just enough to make it to the course. You could then turn around, hit the last key checkpoint, and finish the lap. Right away, people figured this would be humanly possible. The question was, who would pull it off first? Well, just 3 days later, that question was answered. The player's name was Logan, and he managed to time the hop perfectly and land out of bounds to get a 1:48 3-lap record. This was effectively the same as the task version, but he had to waste some time getting picked up rather than landing right back on the course. This record would eventually be lowered to 1:43 by not having to respawn, but there's still potential to take quite a bit of time off of it. It's possible to do this shortcut 3 times in a race, using 1 mushroom per lap. But given the difficulty of doing this just once, it's a bit of a long shot. There's also been attempts to hit Sam's original method, which would be faster, but nobody's been able to yet. If either of those 2 tricks are hit, Waluigi Stadium's record could still be crushed. But as it turns out, the improvements to old strategies weren't done. Let's take a look at Ghost Valley 2. This one is pretty small, but looks impressive. The original Ghost Valley 2 shortcut was discovered in 2009, and involved doing a wall clip off the finish line pole to skip further in the track. But 6 years later, this shortcut would be improved by, of course, none other than Blaze.
That's the weirdest stat speed I've
After
ever
landing from the
played.
first wall clip, you could turn around and do a second one off of these blocks. skipping to the end of the lap. The checkpoint map shows how this works. By leaving from the finish line box, the game still thinks you're in region 0. So skipping to later in the track is no issue. As long as you go back to hit the last key checkpoint, the game thinks you drove the lap normally and counts it. The only issue with this shortcut was that it only saved a fraction of a second, since you used all your mushrooms and couldn't do a normal wall clip on the other laps. Even though the second part was humanly possible, doing it fast enough to save time was tough. For years, nobody was able to do it in a 3-lap record. But finally, in October 2020, Logan did it, beating the old record by just 1/10 of a second. And to this day, nobody else has been able to pull off both wall clips in a world record speedrun. So that makes 5 ultra shortcuts or ultra shortcut improvements pulled off in 2020. These shortcuts have a wide range of human viability. Some are tricks humans can regularly perform, like Shy Guy Beach or Ghost Valley 2. Others will never be pulled off in their current state. Courses like Dry Ruins have tricks that make them impossible. One of those TAS-only shortcuts was N64 Bowser's Castle. I mentioned before how this trick involved rapid fire hop abuse to get over the wall. Alternating tapping the hop button on every other frame 30 times per second isn't humanly possible. So any trick that requires this can't be done outside of a TAS. But remember what I said before? The rapid fire hop abuse made it TAS only. It was impossible to do this humanly. Was impossible. Keyword was. In November 2020, TASer CF came back to take another look at N64 Bowser's Castle, looking for a way to bypass the rapid fire hop abuse. And sure enough, he found a way to make the ultra shortcut humanly possible. This is the barrel roll. This was a trick discovered the same year the game came out, back in 2008, but wasn't fully explored until many years later. You have to go up on a wall, then do a wheelie while you slowly fall over the edge. If done properly, your bike then enters a state where the game won't try to correct the bike's rotation as long as you stay at a low speed. Then, while in the barrel roll state, you can line yourself up with the finish line pole. By using a mushroom, the game will try to quickly correct your rotational angle. And just like with rapid fire hop abuse, this causes your bike to snap back to normal, allowing you to go over the wall and clip off the finish line pole. The end result is exactly the same as with rapid fire hop abuse. Difference is, now you don't need to button mash like a TAS. But doing this trick was
39 speed is insane, bro.
You needed to get the correct bounce, be lined up perfectly with the pole, then get a big enough clip to make it all the way to the checkpoint. 3 variables that, despite technically all being possible, needed a miracle to all line up in the same run. Who was crazy enough to try to get all of that? The answer, of course, was Logan. This was the same guy who first pulled off the Waluigi Stadium shortcut outside of a TAS, and who first got the double wall clip on Ghost Valley 2. He had also gotten dozens of other records over the course of a few years, so he certainly had the skill needed to do this. But this was one of the hardest tricks ever discovered in Mario Kart Wii. These were his attempts in the winter of 2020.
No way, come on, give it to me. No, I crossed backwards. I crossed backwards.
I don't think I care about shortcuts. I think we just did it. I think we just did it.
Oh no! How? No! I thought that was it. What? No.
Turn out on this. I need a new track. Never mind.
No, come on, please, one time. Oh, come on.
The 2 quad weaknesses is insane.
had a low 231 or 230, except for Logan. He was alone with a 220, a full 10 seconds ahead of the rest, thanks to the ultra shortcut. To this day, nobody else has been able to pull it off. As more time has passed, more old ultra shortcuts thought to be impossible have had new methods discovered. CupheadFast is an example of this. Recently, Justin found a way to implement a barrel roll to do a wall clip and get out of bounds without needing to do rapid fire hop abuse. This setup would later be improved by EJ, but despite this, it's still unclear if it will ever be executed outside of the TAS. The precision needed is beyond nearly every other ultra shortcut in the game, and although players have tried, nobody has come close to hitting it yet. Now, there's still one more course we have to talk about.
No, there's
you
not.
probably know which one it is.
No, I don't.
This is Rainbow Road. This shortcut's legacy is unrivaled. Rainbow Road's ultra shortcut is a trick that perfectly exemplifies the community's effort, and this story around it is simply incredible. It all started back in March 2016, when Tasser Estoloy62 posted a video to YouTube. Rainbow Road, new ultra shortcut. This video was a task where Estoloy went forward, then turned around in front of the railing. She then got some speed and hopped, barely balancing on the outside of the railing. By using a mushroom and performing a spin drift, where you drift to the right while holding left, she managed to spin far to the right while getting a lot of airtime to move further ahead. She then angled the nose of the bike down to get a nosedive, causing a big bounce that threw her over the edge. Finally, once she was halfway to the other side, she used a mushroom for speed and held back on the controller to fall slower. She made it across, and had just cut out almost the entire lap. Now, these inputs on their own are super tough, but the locations of the checkpoints means this is even more precise than it looks. When you move forward to go behind the railing, you leave key checkpoint 0 and enter key checkpoint 1. However, you need to ultimately leave the track from region 0 for the lap to count. So one of the hardest parts was making it back far enough to nick the corner of region 0 before flying off the edge. But if you managed to pull that off, all you needed to do was drive forward through the last key checkpoint and the lap would count. Chaining all of these inputs together was beyond precise. For years, nobody made any real progress on pulling off Estoloy's shortcut. On the task side of things, however, there was one possible improvement. See, Estoloy used all 3 of her mushrooms to make it across the track, and shortly after it was discovered that you really only needed to use 2 of them, one right before the spin drift, and one to provide speed to make it to the other side. Unfortunately, even using just 2 mushrooms meant you could only do this shortcut once per race, since you just have 1 mushroom left over. But what about taking it a step further? What about doing this shortcut with just 1 mushroom? Well, if that was possible, that would mean you could do the shortcut 3 times, once per lap, to finish the race in under a minute. For years, it seemed out of the question, but in late 2020, Tasser started taking a closer look at it. On November 21st, CF made a task that used 1 mushroom before the spin drift, then just barely made it to the track without using a second one. He did it, but the lap didn't count. The reason why was because he didn't go far enough back to enter region 0. This step was much harder than it looked. Going far enough back involves delaying when you launch off the edge as long as possible, which means your mushroom will run out faster. CF used the Quacker to help him, since it gave better bounces at the cost of a slower speed, but still wasn't able to make it far enough back. What this run did do, however, was inspire Malio to start attempts of
Malio!
Malio is a well-known tasser of Paper Mario, Mario Kart Wii, and various other games. In late December 2020, he turned his attention to Rainbow.
Oh wow, there's no way I actually just got a Waterstone. That's hilarious.
1 mushroom task of the ultra shortcut. He didn't know if it was possible. So all he could do was sit down with the tasks and try over and over.
Oh my god, this might actually happen. Holy. Holy fuck, that's so close. Oh my god. This is happening, this is happening, this is happening. Hello, summoning salt. How are you? Alright, now I have to make it.
It's funny something salt on this screen.
On December 28th, 2020, MYAAA proved that the one mushroom ultra shortcut was possible. Rainbow Road's ultra shortcut could now be done on each lap. The course is done. Mario Kart Wii did its best to make players drive normally, but thanks to the efforts of so many in the community, it was overcome. Rainbow Road has been fully broken. But what about on the non-task side of things? This 3 out of 3 one mushroom method is considered 100% humanly impossible. Partly because of its precision, but partly because MYAAA briefly did rapid fire hop abuse as well. That rules out any human ever performing the Rainbow Road Ultra Shortcut 3 times in a race, and beating the course in under a minute. At least for now. But what about the normal Ultra Shortcut? Well, after Esteloy discovered it, this trick was assumed to be humanly impossible. Community members proclaimed that it would never be done, because the precision was way beyond other ultra shortcuts. Each step of the trick had its own set of insanely precise inputs that would need to be performed. For years after its discovery, few serious attempts were made at landing it. But as more and more of these other incredibly difficult and precise ultra shortcuts were hit, Rainbow Road's legacy just grew bigger and bigger. It became the holy grail of Mario Kart Wii shortcuts. So, by 2018, the quest for the Rainbow Road Ultra Shortcut began. One of the first serious contenders was King Alex, a player with a long career who's held numerous records over the years. He posted a video in August 2018 of some of his closest attempts. There were some nice runs, but they all either didn't have enough rotation or had too small of a bounce. They all ended in him falling well short of the track. In 2019, he did more attempts. This time, the closest ones died because he hit the out of bounds planes. These were close to reaching the road, but once he hit the plane, all of them stopped dead in their tracks. Still, these runs looked close enough to the task that some serious excitement was brewing in the community. By late 2019,
that's real
more
nice.
Players were trying. In November, a player named Taylor had probably the closest call so far, making it really close to the track. But ultimately, Taylor too fell short. In April 2020, esteemed world record holder Justin had an attempt that looked extremely close, but he hadn't gone far enough back to hit Region 0. So 4 years after the Ultra Shortcut was discovered, even though there had been somewhat close calls, players still weren't quite doing all they needed to do to hit it. But in November 2020, players would get some help when CF released his task with the Quacker. I mentioned before how this helped get a 3 out of 3 task since the Quacker gives bigger bounces, but this improvement would also help with the normal shortcut. A bigger bounce meant there was a
Those
higher
Firefly
chance of
rounds,
making it to
dope.
the road, which did help a bit. So now, there was new life for the Rainbow Road Ultra Shortcut. More players than ever before were going for it, each of them wanting to be the one that would go down in history as the first to pull off the most legendary shortcut in Mario Kart Wii. And on December 6th, 2020, Arthur did this. But the lap didn't count. He had just missed going back far enough to reach Region 0. A YouTuber named Winbag4 posted a demonstration that had a green line to represent where Arthur needed to go for the lap to count. As you can see, he barely missed nicking it, so the checkpoint didn't update. This tiny distance was how close Arthur came to making history. The very next day, a player named Core became the second person to cross the gap of Rainbow Road. But he too didn't go far enough back. It seems that he was a few pixels closer than Arthur to hitting Region 0, but he still didn't reach it. That was 2 players in the same week who made it across the gap, but just couldn't get the lap to count. And a short while later, a 3rd player made it across, Happy with Sugar. He too reached the other side of the road, but wasn't far enough back to get the lap skip. And unlike Arthur and Core, Sugar would go on to repeat this feat 5 more times, leaving him with half a dozen skips that didn't count a lap.
Yeah, y'all see that? It's number 6. It's not a lap count. Don't get too excited.
That was the real hard part of this ultra shortcut. Making it across the gap was tough, but doing it from Region 0? That was another story.
What does everything have sweet kiss, bro?
Close calls,
At least like
get the lap to count. Weeks passed.
Yeah.
2021 began.
All right, mixed attacker. It's okay. I'll try to run it. I mean,
At this point, the Rainbow Road Ultra Shortcut had stood the test of time for 5 years. Thousands of attempts from dozens of different players. In my first Mario Kart Wii video, I made a sincere statement. The Rainbow Road Ultra Shortcut would one day be pulled off. The only question was,
who
was going to be the author? Well, turns out, I was pretty close.
Wow, why did I do so little?
Oh my god! Oh my god, guys! Keep that, guys! Oh, wait! Guys, I did it!
I did it! Nope is trying to cope. That is a very interesting name. Welcome in.
It goes a long way on YouTube. Also, the pages for the
Gonna put on a new video because that one just finished. Classic. In the stream. Why wouldn't they? That's all nice.
For the past several years, Super Mario Bros. Speedruns have been going on a journey.
I would run this to Drio if it had a better moveset, but it doesn't.
That's an incredible story of its own. No,
Interesting.
I'm talking about speedruns of the individual levels, completing a single stage from start to finish as
Those
fast
streams
as
they wouldn't
possible.
send? Oh. That's weird.
The 8 levels in an any percent run have individually
Maybe you got banned or something, I don't know.
near perfection. But a few years ago, that wasn't the case.
Not gonna lie, Intimidate Steel type Huntail's kind of tempting.
And break the game in ways previously unimaginable. This is Super Mario Bros. The Human Limit.
YouTube error. Oh, okay. Glalie kind of cool too. But Huntail's actually got a higher BSG. Wow, there's Glalie in both routes. That's hilarious. Yeah, I think Huntail is our best bet. Anyway, hello. We're doing some crazy Kaizo, which is just regular Kaizo IronMon, but the typings are random, the movesets types are random, and as well as the power points, the strength of said moves, and how accurate they are. Why in the world is this freaking Crocodile so fast? What in the world, man?
2 levels in World 1, 2 levels in World 4, and 4 levels in World 8.
It's not awful.
Normally, for an any
not great though.
Run, you have to play through all 8 of these levels consecutively.
I mean, yeah, I'll try to run it, but
But here's the thing. Since Super Mario Bros. Has been so broken down and optimized over the years, we actually know fairly definitively what the fastest possible time is. It comes
what am I doing?
454.26.
I didn't mean to try to run.
This was pulled off in a tool-assisted speedrun, or a TAS, where the player uses save states, slowdown, and frame
has to be thick.
to create a theoretically perfect speedrun in an emulator by a TASer named Maru.
To be honest, I came in for the streamer, not the game, but I like watching the games too. Do you like Pokemon streams? Typically?
Controller to accelerate faster, which can't be done on a normal NES.
You know nothing about Pokemon? Oh, okay.
So,
fair enough. I just recently finished a Super Paper Mario playthrough. Which is pretty fun. I enjoyed it. All of your streamers are Pokemon streamers. That's hilarious. You don't know anything about Pokemon, but you only watch Pokemon streamers. That's so funny. Oh, you put me to sleep, you jerk. Yeah, this thing is not gonna run. There's just no way, man. I just don't like see it happening, but I can try, but it's not looking great for me personally. I could be wrong though, we'll see. Like supporting him. Oh yeah, that's fair. Well, because there's a lot of people in this community, so, like, I don't want to say most of them play Pokemon, but a lot of them do anyway.
It takes its passengers to the following level. So no matter how quickly
this is the first time here or in a long time. Maybe I don't.
You don't have to play.
I couldn't tell you honestly.
You just have to play.
If you were in here, it probably was like before I took my several month sabbatical, which was I don't know how long ago, like 4 months ago. But I returned. I don't remember. It was at least a few months ago.
Where timing stops immediately upon touching the axe, and so getting the fastest possible frame rolls plus a frame perfect 8.4 puts the run at 454.26. Now let's go back to 2016. The sum of perfection at that point was a frame slower, but for simplicity's sake, we're just gonna keep it at 454.26.
I'm just gonna reset. I don't want to run this thing anymore. I'm not having fun. Its moveset's mid. Its stats are mid. Not particularly an interesting runner.
2.75 seconds.
Subscribed for almost 5 months. That's interesting.
From the fact that on each of the 7 levels before 8-4, the best humans had done was 1 frame roll behind perfect. No more, no less. Humans were off by 1 frame roll in each stage. The fastest ways humans could beat stages usually involved just running to the end as fast as possible. There were some tough tricks, yes, but the task frame rolls each involved doing something extra. Clipping into blocks, doing frame perfect maneuvers, all tricks that humans didn't know how to do. One of these tricks in particular appeared over and over again in the run. This is the flagpole glitch.
Your team streamers are watched, but I'm including you too. I appreciate it, dude. I'm not like consistent with my
flagpole block, you can make the
stream
level
schedule.
without having the flags
But I do stream like at least twice a week.
castle faster without having to wait for the flag. In some
Hopefully I'm very
cases,
forgetful.
it's
Fair enough.
frame rule. In 1-1,
I'm mostly doing KAIZO right now. Currently it's my only
flagpole glitch to
series
do
on
just that.
YouTube.
In those 3 stages,
Um,
the flagpole glitch was
I don't have any ideas for what game I want to do next.
But for
I might
years,
do one more Paper Mario
do it in real time.
stream
To clip into the block,
because
not only does the jump
there was
have
like
to be
this like
perfectly
special like
timed, but
challenge at the end or
Mario's
whatever.
pixel positioning also needs to be
But I
correct.
don't know.
That's his position within a pixel.
Do you play on
Certain
PC? Yes, I
inputs
do.
will change this position by a lot.
Here is the mouse to
Getting
prove
the
it.
correct ones couldn't be done reliably.
I also can play games on Switch too, though. I did not mean to pick that Pokemon.
And needing to do the proper inputs once in the block to touch the flagpole put this trick out of reach. At least until late 2015, when players started to look into it a bit more. That December, a runner named DoorTK made a save state from a jump on the
We're playing
staircase
Blueprints.
and brute
What kind of game is that?
block until he was able to touch the
Oh, that's a weird moveset.
It was the first time a human had done the end inputs for a flagpole glitch. A few months later, runner Mav6771 replicated it and then went a step further, using a save state from the pipe instead of during the jump. This was the first ever full flagpole glitch done in real time. It was starting to come together, but for this to be official, it had to be pulled off in a full level. And there was a lot needed for that to happen. You needed to be fast enough in the underground to save the frame rule. Then
Dude, I keep accidentally. Well, actually, I'm ranking anyway, so I'll take it. Whatever.
Right subpixels from a mid-air hesitation, and finally do the perfect inputs at the block to clip in. Just the luck from the subpixels alone put the trick at 1 in several dozen.
Puzzle game. Unless you get to choose what room comes next, but once you do anything anymore, it resets you choose different ones each day.
The community needed the best of the best for a chance.
Interesting. I don't know if I've ever heard a game like that before. That's crazy. What in the world? Like, how would that even work? I don't even know, man. What the heck? Is this the same file? That's the same file. Why in the world did they get the same file?
About the world record holder.
That was weird.
Darbian.
For 0.35 seconds.
Last Canic, Lefable.
On August 19th, 2016, Darbian successfully hit the flagpole glitch in 1-1. For the first time ever, the perfect frame roll had been achieved in a level of Super Mario Bros. It was impossible
the game.
to save even another frame.
You know, it's a game I never beaten is Mario 64.
The flagpole glitch could be used on 4-1 and 8-3, but keep in mind, with the subpixels and frame.
I'm gonna go get dinner, maybe be back later. No problem.
These would each be 1 in several hundred chances. But luckily,
I would have won if I didn't lose.
The community would get some help. Sockfolder is a speedrunning wizard, best known for discovering the canonless setup in Super Mario 64 and various tricks in Zelda Ocarina of Time. By September 2016, he was looking into ways to make the flagpole glitch consistent. More specifically, finding a way to control Mario's subpixel value to make the trick possible every time. He had a bot that ran thousands of input combinations at the end of the level, before finding a setup that involved landing on this step without holding B, then holding right and B for 2 frames before doing a full jump. If done properly, this gives Mario the subpixel values he needs so he can always clip into the block. This setup meant that the 1-1 and 4-1 flagpole could be performed much more consistently, and it was just a matter of time before Darbian was able to match the perfect frame rule in 4-1. The second stage to hit perfection. 8-3 required a slightly different setup to manipulate subpixels, but just 2 weeks later, on September 30th, Mav was able to pull it off. That made it 3 stages that were completed perfectly. Over the course of just 2 months, The sum of best was taken down over a full second. 3 levels down. But after the flagpole glitch revolution was done, everything slowed down. The problem was, these final 4 stages required tricks much, much more difficult than a flagpole glitch. In fact, they seemed impossible. Here's why.
Who's your mom?
In 1-2,
no!
you would have to do a trick called the pipe clip. This standard method of completing the level was to run on the ceiling above the pipe, enter the warp zone, and head into World 4. Easy enough. But to get the perfect frame rule,
Pure electricity of Arcanine?
clip into the pipe, then scroll the screen far enough while preserving enough speed to turn around and make it in time. You can see here that, if done fast enough, the pipe clip method does save the frame rule. The problem was the difficulty of stringing everything together. You need to land right next to the pipe. Press jump for just 1 frame so you don't go too high, stop the clip at the right time, then scroll the screen far enough so that World 4 loads, and turn around to go in the pipe. It also all had to be done fast enough to save the frame rule.
Quite the physical attacker. Too bad you have literally no physical moves whatsoever.
In 4-2, you have to do a wrong warp where you push Mario forward on the screen, leaving the warp zone loaded while you go down this pipe.
I wonder why flying
and the game
electric type window is kind of cool.
sending you to the warp zone while skipping the vine animation. This isn't hard to do in real time, but the key is getting it all as fast as possible. By a combination of an extremely fast clip,
Compound Eyes is pretty cool.
And a quick turnaround in the warp zone, it was technically possible to make the fastest frame rule.
No defense.
But people didn't
Really
even
sucks.
know where to begin.
185 power dig. What the frick?
Nobody even tried to save it. That's how out of reach it was.
That alone makes it worth trying to run.
Frame roll involved doing a flagpole glitch at the end, just like 1-1, 4-1, and 8-3. However, there was a catch. Since you normally finish 8-1 with 0 frames to spare, you had to save a full 21 frames over normal in this stage to make the next frame roll. A sock folder setup flagpole glitch only saves 15 frames. That could increase to 19 if you performed it without slowing down. However, you'd have to find a way to manipulate your subpixels beforehand. But you still needed to save 2 more frames, which you could get via a fast acceleration at the start of the level. Mario accelerates slightly faster while facing opposite the direction he's moving, so by doing a small backwards jump at the start, it's possible to save exactly 2 frames. But to do so, you need to hold B and left for 1 frame, then hold B alone for another frame, then hold B right and A for a frame so Mario jumps, then hold B and right. Each of those moves had to be frame perfect and only last for 1 frame. Humans really struggle to do inputs that precise, so combined with the incredibly hard flagpole glitch at the end, 8-1 was out of the question. And finally, there was 8-2. This stage wasn't understood too well, but it was believed that to save the perfect frame rule, you had to play the whole stage
I'm an idiot.
down to the frame. And that involved a fast acceleration at the start of the level, a maneuver over the piranha plant that lost 0 frames, and at the end, a frame-perfect bullet bill glitch.
Yeah, since I couldn't get
This is
enough
a trick
moves.
similar to the flagpole glitch, where you bounce off the bullet bill and clip into the block. But instead of just skipping the flag animation, it also skips Mario walking to the castle. This trick would also have to be performed on the first possible frame to save the frame rule. The fast acceleration, the multiple frame-perfect input piranha plant jump, and the frame-perfect bullet bill glitch. Getting one of those 3 would be hard enough. As far as everyone was concerned, getting all 3 was essentially impossible. So, once again, the 8-2 frame rule was ruled out. That's 4 stages.
Yeah, Hustle and Shadow Punch, that's pretty
Each of them
cool.
had 1 frame rule to
Shadow
be
Punch
saved,
actually ghost type, that's
but
funny.
none of them were even being attempted. The only one that seemed remotely possible was the 1-2 clip, thanks to HAPPIES' setup where you could clip into the pipe with proper subpixels. World record contender Cosmic did serious attempts at getting the 1-2 clip in October 2016, and was able to clip into the pipe, but he was still several frames too slow to save the frame rule. If one of the best players in the world wasn't able to get this, it was beginning to seem hopeless. These perfect frame rules were just too much to ask, and months passed with nothing new. Then, suddenly, in April 2017, a Mario runner posted some rapid progress in 1-2. First clipping into the pipe from a save state, then doing the same from the start of the level, but just missing the frame rule. And then, on April 16th, he did it. Out of nowhere, somebody had just saved the 1-2 frame rule. Who was the runner? Well, you might have heard of him before. On April 16th, Andrew G became the first player to save the frame rule in 1-2. He mastered the 1-frame A-press, the clip into the pipe, and the movement in the warp zone. He was also always able to get proper subpixels for the clip by avoiding slowing down for even a single frame in the rest of the stage. 1-2 was now the 4th stage to reach perfection. That made it just 3 stages where the perfect frame rule hadn't been matched. The problem, of course, was that these 3 stages went way beyond the difficulty of the first 4. You had the task-like movement needed in 4-2, the fast acceleration and flagpole glitch needed in 8-1, and the frame-perfect everything needed in 8-2. None of these stages were viable. At least, not without some help. But in early 2018, that's exactly what the community would get. A setup to make one of these stages at least a little bit more reasonable. And once again, it came from a familiar face. It's time to visit an old friend. This is 420 Blaze It. 420 Blaze It is best known for creating a 4-2 wall clip setup for any percent runs. He's a tasser who's adept at coming up with human viable setups for hard tricks. This time he was looking at 8-1, and in November 2017, he posted a video of a possible way to save the 8-1 frame rule. The start of the stage featured a fast acceleration. This was still incredibly hard. For the flagpole glitch at the end, however, he jumped off of this step, very briefly tapped left in the air, and clipped into the block. The left tap was slight enough that Mario never actually slowed down, but significant enough that it changed his subpixel value to allow for the clip. This was still super hard, as it featured jumping for 1 frame less than a full jump and an incredibly precise tap of the left button, but at the very least it showed the trick was humanly possible. The next step was getting a human to perform it, and in March 2018, Stuck in a Plate wanted to be the first. Plate is an incredibly talented speedrunner, the record holder in Ghosts and Goblins, top 10 in Ninja Gaiden, and in March 2018 he was 4th place in Super Mario Bros. He had the platforming expertise needed to pull this off, but first he wanted to find a way to make the subpixel manipulation a bit easier. So, he spent 12 hours straight working on it. In the end, he realized that the left press could be done during any jump in the level and still work, and a small jump off the top step would work to clip into the block. Those 2 steps made the no slowdown flagpole glitch easier. So, he started doing attempts to get the full level, and about 20 minutes later, he did this. That was the 5th stage down. In a year and a half, the community had gone from this to this. The flagpole glitch, pipe clips, and fast accelerations were each revolutionary in their own way. 2 stages left. So close to perfection. The community was on a roll. But suddenly, that roll stopped. A year came and went without any new improvements. 2019 came around, with 4-2 and 8-2 still remaining unsolved. Remember, these 2 stages were essentially believed to be impossible to get the perfect frame rule on. In 4.2, you'd have to figure out a faster way to get Mario forward on the screen, combined with task-like movement in the warp zone. And in 8.2, you needed sheer perfection from start to finish. Perfection that would even be harder than 8-1. 8.2 in particular was believed to be the hardest frame roll to save in the entire game. And it makes sense why. The frame roll had 0 frames to spare and had several nearly impossible tricks throughout. A certain other speedrunning YouTuber even told 7.5 million people that the perfect 8.2 frame roll was impossible.
It can be ruled out.
You had a fast acceleration, a jump with multiple frame perfect inputs, and a frame perfect bullet bill glitch. It was believed that getting all of these tricks in a row to save the frame roll on the last possible frame was humanly impossible. But it turns out, this belief was sort of unfounded, for the simple reason that nobody had really tried to do it before. There was just a perception that they would all be too difficult for a human to chain together. That perception made sense, but by 2019, somebody decided they might as well try. And who better to do that than 420 BlazeIt? In July 2019, BlazeIt started to create a proof of concept for 8.2. He used a save state before the fast acceleration, a save state before the plant jump, and a save state before the bullet bill glitch to try and see if he could save the frame roll. And it took him a lot of attempts, but with 3 save states to use, he was actually able to get it.
Yo, thanks for lurking, DG. I appreciate it.
A lot of frame perfect inputs, but practice eventually led to him getting them all. BlazeIt mentioned that the plant jump in particular was incredibly hard, but with enough tries, he was even able to make it past that. So, once again, BlazeIt had proven that a task frame roll could be saved. The misconception had been broken. The only thing left was somebody pulling it off in real time. Back in 2016, when the flagpole glitch setups were first discovered, the community looked toward the world record holder to pull them off first. By 2019, the record holder had changed, but the principle had stayed the same. The person who put attempts in to save the 8.2 frame roll was the best player the game had. The world record holder, TavenWeb.
I got it. I think I got it. We did it. We got it. We freaking did it already.
And just like that, another stage down. Celebration rang out amongst the community. Funnily enough, players would later discover that Taven actually didn't have to be frame perfect to save this frame roll. With a perfect fast acceleration, he actually had a frame of wiggle room.
Here's KAIZO. Yes, sir. You know it.
Combined efforts, there was now just one more frame roll to be saved. 4-2.
Got the 40%. It's nice.
This last frame roll was really quite different from
Ah,
the
crap.
that came before it.
Alright, it's fine.
As explained before, to get the wrong warp to work, you need to push Mario forward on the screen at least 20 pixels. That would allow you to reach this pipe with the warp zone still loaded, since the screen is further back than Mario is. The key to doing this trick fast was figuring out how to get Mario forward by 20 pixels as quickly as possible. There were 2 main methods for humans. One was a wall clip discovered by 420 BlazeIt, where you tap left to clip into the wall and get pushed forward by 20 pixels. The other was 2 backwards bumps discovered by Andrew G, each potentially pushing Mario 10 pixels to make the wrong warp possible. The wall clip method from BlazeIt, even if optimally performed, was a few frames too slow to save the frame roll. The 2 bump method, on the other hand, was slightly faster, and in September 2018, runner King of Johnny Boy proved that by doing everything perfectly down to the frame, you could make the fastest frame roll with no time to spare. However, that entailed getting 10 pixels from each bump, doing extremely difficult inputs and getting proper subpixels and subspeed to stop on the pipe perfectly, doing a double fast acceleration in the warp zone to save an additional frame, and once again a combination of perfect inputs and subpixels to turn around perfectly. This combination was magnitudes of difficulties higher than any other stage. Simply put, it wasn't happening. Later on that month, however, HAPPIES showed an alternative method that was a bit faster. It involved clipping into the top brick of the wall and jumping out of it to get back up to speed faster. However, this trick was incredibly hard too, as you had to slow down as you jumped to avoid hitting this block, then speed back up by pressing right, then finally tap left again to clip into the wall. Once in the wall, you had to do multiple frame-perfect inputs to get out of it.
4-star, nice. Let's see it.
People tried this trick, but it too wasn't happening. Small improvements would be made to both the 2-bump and top wall clip methods, and players tried both, but had little success being fast enough to save the frame roll. 2019 came around, and then 2020. Nothing. This was the one level that couldn't be solved. And then someone had an idea. In June 2020, a third method for possibly saving the frame roll was found. At first, it was brushed off as just another hopeless possibility. But as time went on, runners realized that this method was something different. It was really hard, of course it was, but it gave just enough wiggle room to make it doable. And this is what it looked like. It started with an 11 pixel.
Nice, we got a full clear.
It's normally next to impossible to get 11 pixels from a backwards bump like this, but by manipulating both your sub-pixel and sub-speed values with a precise input combination, you could reliably get 11 pixels.
Lemonade, nice.
You could then get the remaining 9 pixels from doing a backwards wall jump off of this pipe. The wall jump is a glitch, where if you hit a specific pixel in a wall between two blocks, the game thinks Mario is standing for exactly one frame. If you jump on that frame, you can jump off of the wall without hitting the ground. That meant it had to be both a pixel-perfect jump into the wall and a frame-perfect jump to execute the wall jump. But if both of those were pulled off, you could get the second backwards bump off of the pipe. Quickly entering the pipe also involves subspeed manipulation and more precision from your inputs. Of course, in the warp zone itself, you'd have to do another fast acceleration and a quick turnaround into the pipe. But the method in the underground section was possible. This strategy was once again discovered by King of Johnny Boy, and it was a big one. A few people tried to get this frame rule in late 2020 and early 2021, but the frontrunner was a player named Nifsky, the second place runner and former world record holder. He had the strategy. He just had to pull it off, and the last frame rule would be saved. It was time to make history.
And where's my 11 pixels at, man? Oh my gosh! Please! Please! Yes! 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 Oh my god! I did it! Let's freaking go! Oh my god! I can't believe it!
Nifsky had just saved the last frame rule for an any% speedrun of Super Mario Bros. After half a decade of collaboration from the community, it was impossible to save another frame on any level. Absolute perfection.
I think we win. I think we freaking win.
Until 8-4, that is.
We just won the game, guys. We just won.
It's the last level in Super Mario Bros. And it's unique because, as mentioned before, it doesn't operate on the frame rule system. The timing ends on the exact frame when Mario touches the axe at the end, which isn't tied to a frame rule. That means that to be perfect in 8-4, you have to actually play the stage perfectly down to the frame. There's no being close enough. It's the only level in Super Mario Bros. That works like that. The stage itself is broken down into 5 rooms. A starting room where you simply run to the end and go in the pipe. The next room where you have to do a wall jump off of a pipe to make it in fast. The turnaround room where you have to do a wrong warp by scrolling the screen to load the next zone, then turning around to go in a pipe quickly. A water room where you have to swim to the end, and finally the last room where you jump past Bowser to touch the axe. There's a lot that goes into this to do it quickly, but all the way back in November 2013, Cosmic submitted one of the earliest 8.4 records. It was quite impressive for the time, and there were even people that thought it might be the closest 8.4 would ever be to perfect. Even Cosmic himself thought that, titling the video "The Closest 8.4 Will Ever Be to Perfect." That was a bold move. But this was a really good 8.4. He started off the first room with a fast acceleration, then dashed into the pipe. In the wall jump room, he did a frame-perfect jump to avoid slowing down or hitting a pipe, then did the frame-perfect, pixel-perfect wall jump facing backwards to accelerate faster. In the turnaround room, he only scrolled the screen 1 pixel past where he had to do the wrong warp. In the water section, he managed to navigate Mario almost perfectly between the ground and the fire bars, losing just 1 frame on the exit by touching the ground a frame too early. And in the last room, he ran under Bowser to finish it off. Adding this 8.4 onto the perfect first 7 stages that would be achieved years later put the human sum of best at 454.71. Remember, the theoretical limit was 454.26, meaning there was a 0.45 difference in 8.4. Less than half a second from perfection. But was Cosmic right? Was this the best 8.4 possible? No. No, it was not. A couple years later, Cosmic beat his own record and lowered the time down to 454.56. The key was fast accelerations. Back in 2013, Cosmic was under the impression that a fast acceleration could only save 1 frame, but by 2016, the community had gained the knowledge that if performed optimally in the first room and turnaround room, it could save up to 5 frames in each spot. That's what Cosmic did, as well as adding 1 into the wall jump room to save up to another 2 frames. This time would later be tied by Stuck in a Plate, but a little over a year later, Cosmic lowered it even more, 454.53, creeping ever closer to perfection. Most future records from here on out were played on a ROM hack that gave information about your pace on the top of the screen. However, no gameplay was modified, so it's legal. Once again, the time save came from improving the fast accelerations. It was really hard to save 5 frames with each, but Cosmic was able to get closer. Eddie Cat Gaming tied this time a few months later, before GTAce lowered it by 1 frame. 454.51, just a quarter of a second away. But at this point, 8.4 was getting really optimized. The fast accelerations, the perfect movement, everything was either perfect or a frame away from perfect. Where did the rest of the difference come from? Well, other than a frame here and there from tighter execution, double fast accelerations were part of the key. If performed in the turnaround room properly, doing another fast acceleration immediately after the first would bring Mario up to speed 1 frame faster. However, this involves extremely quick switches from left to right on the D-pad. You had to be holding right, tap left and A for 1 frame, then switch to right again. It's much more difficult than a normal fast acceleration. Similar was the falling fast acceleration, where you accelerate facing backwards off a ledge to save an additional frame. 4 frames in total could be saved with these double fast accelerations, but as nobody had even pulled off one once, they were ruled out as being TAS only. But there was one other fast acceleration players could try. Since you have to quickly get back up to speed after turning around in the turnaround room, it was possible to do a fast acceleration there. Similarly to the other double fast accelerations, this trick required super quick and precise inputs. But the main benefit of this trick was if performed optimally, it could save up to 5 frames. For years, the world's best players tried saving time with it, but weren't able to. It was always slower than normal. That is, until TavenWeb tried it in 2019. Taven decided to try messing around with the impossible double fast acceleration, and to everyone's surprise, he was actually able to get it. He found himself saving multiple frames with it on good attempts, and for a while, he was
Wow, that
the
was a
only one able
miracle.
to do so. This opened the door to push the record much lower. If Taven could get it in a good run, a lot of time could come off. How far could he close the gap?
Yes! I tied it. I tied the record.
Why does everything have static, bruh?
Yes! That's it. That's it. That, oh my gosh.
The time was now 454.39. Taven had lowered the gap to just 8 frames. That was the difference between humans and perfection in Super Mario Bros. He was more than 1/10 of a second ahead of anybody else on the leaderboard. Pure domination. The only time save Taven was going for that he didn't get was a single frame in the wall jump room. He was perfect everywhere else.
I'm gonna reset. I don't like this run that much. This moveset's mid. It's too slow. Its defense is too low. Just it's not gonna happen, bud.
Finally, by May 2020, someone was able to do it. Kriller was a Super Mario Bros. Tasser and individual level specialist, and he had had a plethora of runs make it deep into 8-4 that barely died. But on May 7th, he managed to tie Taven to the frame. And crazily enough, even though it took 15 months for somebody to tie the record, it would just take a few hours for the next person to tie it.
I got it! Oh my god! I can't believe it!
This made it a 3-way tie between Taven, Kriller, and Niftsky. And ultimately, Niftsky would be the one to break it, lowering the time to 454.38. He got every frame he wanted to through the water section, so he was able to omit the last fast acceleration. GTAce would later tie this time, so the very next day, Niftsky beat him by adding back in the fast acceleration in the final room, 454.36. And when Velxino tied this time a month later, Niftsky responded by squeezing out one more frame from the turnaround room to take it to 454.34. At 454.34, players were presented with a unique problem. They were starting to run out of frames to save. They were just 5 frames away from perfection. The problem was where these frames were located. 1 frame was from a falling fast acceleration in the first room. 1 was from a falling fast acceleration in the wall jump room. 2 were from a double fast acceleration and perfect movement in the turnaround room. And 1 was from a falling fast acceleration in the final room. 5 frames. All of them were from doing task fast accelerations. Humans couldn't do those, so the 8-4 record seemed to be at its limit. Well, one thing was clear. The only path forward was to try doing these fast accelerations. Nobody had ever been able to do one before, so they appeared to be impossible. But in the past 5 years, players had done so much on other levels. Clipping into walls, doing flagpole glitches, doing fast accelerations. At points in time, all of those tricks were thought to be impossible too. After half a decade of this, the Super Mario Bros. Community had made one thing very clear. Nothing was impossible.
Oh wait, I might get this. I got it! I got it! I got it with both fasting cells.
This is the current human sum of best. We are 2 frames away from completely running out of time to save in Super Mario Bros. A 30th of a second is what stands in the way between humans and perfection. Of the 2 remaining frames, one is in the turnaround room for manipulating subspeed and playing perfectly. It's extremely difficult, but there's no doubt this frame will be saved in a run one day, lowering the sum of best to 454.28. As for the
oh, it's the end of the video already? Oh.
It's in the first room from performing a falling fast acceleration. However, there are serious doubts as to whether or not this one is humanly possible. Not because of its precision.
Oh, okay, we just lose.
Because we don't know if human fingers can actually move fast enough to do this. You have to release right for only 1 frame, then quickly repress it, tap left for 1 frame, and go back to holding right. It's never been pulled off at full speed before, but it's theorized that this trick would be easier on keyboard than with the controller, which would likely create a big controversy in the future. But that's it. Outside of those 2 frames, humans have solved Super Mario Bros. That's a rare accomplishment in speedrunning. It might shortly be impossible to save any more time, and the only thing that can stop that is a new time save. A new frame roll hasn't been found in Super Mario Bros. In over 10 years now, which is pretty incredible, but that doesn't mean there are for sure none left. The secrets to saving time might still be out there. We just have to find them. And maybe, just maybe, a 453 is in Super Mario Bros.'s future. Thanks for watching.
Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream there. Hope you guys enjoyed. But oh man, I'm gonna go on for a little over 3 hours now. Probably relax now for the rest of the day. Man, playing video games all day is hard. I'm just messing. Yep, that's it. I'll see you guys. Hope you guys have a great day. I think I already said that. I don't know, but